Welcome, traveller of time and mind, to a quiet space where the past and the present gently merge. Tonight, we are stepping into a world that exists just beyond the edges of our modern understanding. Close your eyes, let your breathing slow down, and allow the weight of the day to drift away. Imagine, if you will, looking out of a window centuries ago. The stars above look exactly the same, casting their silver glow over the earth. Yet the mind of the person looking at them was filled with an entirely different universe of thoughts, rules, and truths. Today we often look back at history and smile at the things people used to believe. We call them strange, superstitious, or unusual. But tonight we will not judge. Instead, we will seek to understand, because to the people who walked these same paths before us, these beliefs were not strange at all. They were the very fabric of reality, the comfort they held onto in a wild, unpredictable world. Have you ever wondered how it would feel to live in a world where your health was directly tied to the phases of the moon, or where the soil beneath your feet was thought to breathe like a living creature? For thousands of years, humanity did not have microscopic lenses or satellite maps. They had their senses, their stories, and their deep devotion to finding order in the chaos. When a cold wind blew, or when a strange illness swept through a village, they did not look for invisible particles. They looked to the stars, to the balance of elements, and to the ancient wisdom passed down through generations. Let us begin our journey by travelling back to the cobblestone streets of the medieval and Renaissance worlds, where the human body was viewed not as a machine, but as a small, delicate ecosystem. For generations, the greatest minds, doctors, and philosophers believed in a concept known as the humoral theory. They believed that the human body was filled with four sacred liquids, or humours: blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. Each of these humours corresponded to one of the four elements of nature: earth, air, fire, and water. When you were happy and full of energy, it was because your blood, representing the air, was rich and warm. When you felt sluggish or caught a winter cold, it was because the cold, damp phlegm, representing water, had taken over. Health was not a matter of fighting external enemies. It was a gentle, continuous dance of keeping these internal tides in perfect balance. Imagine a physician sitting by your bedside, not with a prescription pad, but with a quiet understanding of nature, listening to the rhythm of your pulse, trying to determine if your inner fire was burning too bright or if your inner earth was too heavy. It was a beautiful, holistic way of seeing ourselves as deeply connected to the planet we walk upon. As we drift deeper into the quiet night, remember that this exploration is a tribute to human curiosity and our endless search for meaning. The channel Sleepy History with Benedict is a storytelling platform created for entertainment, inspiration, education, and the promotion of positive emotional values. As the night deepens and the world around you grows quiet, let us linger a little longer in this world of balance and elements. To the people of the past, the four humours were not just abstract concepts in medical textbooks. They were the very lens through which every aspect of daily life was filtered. Everything you ate, the air you breathed, the seasons of the year, and even the temperament of your personality were dictated by this delicate internal landscape. If you were someone who laughed easily, loved music, and possessed a warm, optimistic outlook on life, you were said to be of a sanguine temperament. This meant the humour of blood was dominant in your body, bringing with it the characteristics of spring: warmth, moisture, and vitality. If you were naturally thoughtful, artistic, but prone to quiet moments of sadness, you were considered melancholic, ruled by black bile, which shared the qualities of autumn, cold, dry, and deeply connected to the element of earth. Because of this, maintaining health was an art form that required a person to live in perfect harmony with the changing seasons. When winter arrived, bringing its heavy, cold, and wet air, people believed that the body naturally accumulated an excess of phlegm. To counteract this, a person would change their entire lifestyle. They would avoid cold, damp foods like raw vegetables or fresh fish, and instead turn to warm, dry spices like cinnamon, ginger, and pepper to stoke their inner fire. In the heat of summer, When yellow bile, associated with fire and dryness, was at its peak, the advice was reversed. People sought out cooling foods, rested in the shade during the hottest hours, and avoided intense passions that might cause their blood to boil. Think of how comforting it must have been to believe that your body was not an isolated entity, but a small perfect reflection of the wider universe, a microcosmos inside a macrocosmos. When the weather changed outside, your internal tides shifted in response. There was no rush, no pressure to perform at the same high energy all year round. In the winter, you were meant to be slow and contemplative, honouring the cold and dampness within. In the spring, you were meant to bloom along with the flowers. This ancient way of thinking created a profound sense of belonging. It reminded people that they were made of the very same materials as the stars, the soil, and the rain. But as comfortable as this philosophy was, it also led to some of the most unusual practices in human history when things went wrong. If an illness became too severe, and simple changes in diet could no longer restore the balance, physicians believed they had to take more direct action to guide the humours back to their proper channels. They turned to signs in the sky, the alignment of planets, and the mysterious properties of plants that grew only under the light of a crescent moon. As we rest here in the stillness of the present, we can begin to wonder, what other secrets did our ancestors believe were hidden in the shadows of the night, and how did they navigate the mysterious boundary between the waking world and the realm of dreams? Let your thoughts drift like mist over a quiet meadow as we turn our attention to another fascinating belief that shaped human history for centuries, the miasma theory. Long before anyone knew what bacteria or viruses were, people believed that diseases were carried and transmitted through the air itself, specifically through bad smells, decaying organic matter and foul vapours known as miasma. The word miasma literally means pollution or stain, and to our ancestors a terrible odour was not just unpleasant, it was dangerous. It was a physical manifestation of corruption in the atmosphere. Imagine walking down the narrow winding paths of an ancient city at twilight. The air is thick with the scent of wood smoke, damp stone, and the rich earth. To the residents of that time, a sudden whiff of stagnant water or rotting leaves was a signal to cover one's nose immediately. They believed that these foul gases could enter the pores of the skin or be inhaled into the lungs, instantly disrupting the balance of the internal humours we explored earlier. Because of this profound fear of bad air, the pursuit of health became a pursuit of fragrance. People did everything they could to surround themselves with sweet, pleasant, and powerful scents. Wealthy citizens carried small ornate metal spheres called pomanders, which were filled with costly spices like ambergris, musk, dried lavender, and crushed rose petals. Whenever they passed through a crowded street or a low-lying valley where the air felt heavy, they would hold the pomander to their nose, breathing in the rich, protective perfume. This belief reached its visual peak during times of great hardship, when specialized healers wore long dark cloaks and masks with prominent bird-like beaks. These beaks were not designed to terrify, they were actually functional tools of the miasma theory. The hollow beaks were packed tight with aromatic herbs, camphor, and dried flowers. The healers believed that, as they breathed, the dry, fragrant mixture would filter out the deadly miasma, purifying the air before it ever reached their lungs. Even inside the home, people would burn sweet woods like rosemary and juniper to cleanse the rooms, turning their living spaces into fragrant sanctuaries. There was a gentle, poetic beauty to this practice. It meant that looking after your community and your family involved filling the world with the scent of flowers and spices. It was a comforting way to fight against the invisible terrors of the world, creating a barrier of sweetness against the unknown. As you listen to the soft rhythm of these words, imagine that protective, fragrant air surrounding you now, keeping you safe, warm, and completely at peace. The night is vast, and the ways in which our ancestors tried to understand its mysteries are deeper than we can ever fully measure. Let the stillness of the night cradle your mind as we wander into the quiet rooms of the past, to explore a belief and a habit that completely governed how people experienced the darkness. Today, we modern individuals tend to view sleep as a single, uninterrupted block of 8 hours. We turn off the lights, close our eyes, and expect to remain asleep until the morning sun rises. But for thousands of years, our ancestors believed in a completely different pattern of rest, known to historians as biphasic or two-phase sleep. Before the invention of widespread artificial lighting, when the setting of the sun brought a profound absolute darkness over the land, the human night was experienced in two distinct parts. People would go to bed early, shortly after dusk, falling into what they called the first sleep. This rest would last for about 4 hours, a deep and restorative slumber that allowed the body to recover from the physical labours of the day. Then around midnight, a remarkable thing would happen. People all over the world would naturally wake up. This was not considered insomnia, nor was it viewed as a problem to be fixed. It was a completely normal, widely accepted part of human existence. This period of quiet alertness between the first and second sleep was known as the watch. For an hour or two, in the soft, warm glow of a single candle or a dying hearth fire, the world existed in a state of beautiful, suspended tranquility. During this midnight interlude, people did not rush or stress. They remained in their beds or sat quietly by the fire. Some would use this time to reflect on their dreams, write in their journals, or pray in the deep silence of the night. Families would chat in low, soothing whispers, sharing thoughts that were too gentle for the busy, chaotic hours of the daytime. It was a sacred, peaceful time where there were no deadlines, no expectations, and no rush. After this hour of peaceful wakefulness, a gentle drowsiness would wash over them once again, leading them into the second sleep, which lasted until the dawn. It is fascinating to think how our ancestors viewed the night not as a blank void of unconsciousness, but as a journey divided into chapters, filled with a special twilight world of quiet thought. They believed this natural rhythm was essential for the mind to process the world and find true spiritual peace. As you drift closer to your own rest, think of how comforting it is to know that the night has always belonged to those who seek peace, and that waking up in the quiet hours is simply an ancient invitation to breathe deeply and listen to the silence. All stories on this channel, Sleepy History with Benedict, are fictional, thoughtfully crafted around historical themes, and inspired by real events, figures and periods, reimagined for engaging storytelling. The content does not represent real individuals, actual events, or documented cases. Any resemblance to real people, animals, or events is purely coincidental. Let your mind float down a gentle stream of thoughts as we journey out of the old candle-lit bedrooms and into the quiet, mist-covered forests of ancient times. Our ancestors looked at the natural world with an incredible sense of wonder and connection. They did not see plants and trees as mere resources, but as living messages waiting to be decoded. This deep-seated belief gave rise to a beautiful concept known as the doctrine of signatures. This philosophy taught that every living thing on earth was marked with a visible sign, a physical signature left by nature to reveal its hidden purpose and healing powers. If a plant possessed a specific shape, colour or texture, our ancestors believed it was a direct clue as to how it could help the human body. It was a worldview built on harmony, where the shapes of the earth perfectly mirrored the shapes of ourselves. For instance, consider the humble walnut. When you crack open its hard protective shell, the rich nut inside looks remarkably like a tiny human brain, with its 2 hemispheres and intricate wrinkled folds. To ancient herbalists, this was no mere coincidence. It was a clear, intentional signature. They believed that eating walnuts would naturally strengthen the mind, clear away heavy thoughts, and bring peace to a tired intellect. Similarly, plants with heart-shaped leaves were carefully gathered to make soothing teas for emotional comfort and vitality, while flowers with bright eye-like patterns in their centre were used to wash the eyes after a long day of reading or sewing under dim light. There was a profound comfort in this belief. Imagine walking through a forest feeling completely safe and cared for, because every leaf, every root and every flower was seen as a quiet, helping hand reaching out to support you. The world was not a cold, indifferent place. It was an open book of gentle wisdom. As you listen to the soft rustle of these ancient stories, let yourself sink deeper into your pillows, feeling that same sense of safety and connection to the world around you. If you are finding peace in these quiet histories tonight, please take a gentle moment to support our journey together. You can subscribe to the channel, leave a warm like, or share a thoughtful comment whenever you wake. Your gentle support helps keep these peaceful stories alive for everyone seeking a restful night. But for now, there is nothing else you need to do. Just let the soothing rhythm of the past carry you further into the quiet realm of rest, where the stars continue their silent watch over the earth, and the mysteries of old still linger in the soft evening breeze. Let your breath slow down even further, matching the deep, slow rhythm of the night as we turn our gaze away from the forest floor and up toward the vast, dark velvet of the evening sky. For thousands of years, humans did not view the night sky as an empty, silent void of cold space. Instead, they believed it was filled with the most beautiful, divine harmony imaginable, a concept known to ancient philosophers and astronomers as the musica universalis, or the music of the spheres. Great thinkers like Pythagoras and Plato believed that the sun, the moon, and all the distant planets were embedded within giant, transparent crystal spheres that nested inside one another. As these massive spheres rotated gently through the cosmos, each one produced a unique, resonant musical tone based on its distance and speed. The faster a planet moved, the higher its pitch, the slower it turned, the deeper its bass. Together, the movements of the cosmos created a grand, eternal symphony that filled the entire universe. You might wonder why, if this cosmic music was constantly playing, our ancestors could not hear it as they walked through their fields or sat by their fires. The philosophers explained this with a beautiful piece of logic. They believed that because this celestial music had been playing from the exact moment of our birth, we had simply grown completely accustomed to it. It was the background hum of existence. Just as a person living next to a roaring waterfall eventually ceases to hear the sound of the rushing water, humanity had become deaf to the magnificent song of the stars. Yet they believed that during the quiet hours of sleep, when the physical senses finally rested and the chaotic noises of the waking world faded away, our souls would naturally realign with this cosmic harmony. Sleep was not just a physical necessity, it was a nightly journey where the mind dissolved into the peaceful rhythm of the universe. When you woke up feeling refreshed, inspired, and at peace, it was because your inner energies had been gently retuned by the music of the spheres. Imagine that magnificent silent symphony drifting through your room right now. Each distant star, each drifting planet humming a soft, protective lullaby designed to soothe your mind and comfort your spirit. You are part of this grand cosmic design, connected to the same ancient rhythms that have guided travelers, dreamers, and seekers since the dawn of time. As we float deeper into the dark, quiet velvet of the night, we begin to wonder what other invisible forces our ancestors believed were constantly watching over them, gently shaping their destinies while they slept. Step gently into the soft velvet shadows of another time, where the boundaries between the visible world and the unseen were as thin as a whisper. To our ancestors, the earth beneath their feet and the dark fens at the edge of their villages were not just soil and water. They were alive with mysterious forces and guardians that demanded deep respect. One of the most fascinating and widespread beliefs of the past centered around the enchanting phenomenon known as the will-o'-the-wisp. Imagine a weary traveler walking along a lonely path at dusk. The mist begins to rise from the marshes, curling around the ancient willow trees like silver ribbons. Suddenly, out in the darkness, a soft pale blue light appears. It hovers just above the damp reeds, flickering gently, bobbing up and down in the quiet air like a tiny solitary lantern. Today, science tells us that these lights are caused by natural gases rising from decaying plants, igniting softly when they meet the cool evening air. But to the people of the past, who lived without chemical formulas, these dancing lights were thought to be something much more profound. In various cultures, They were believed to be the spirits of nature, ancient guardians or playful woodland sprites, holding tiny candles to test the hearts of mortals. Some travelers believed that if you followed the light with a pure heart and a calm mind, it would gently guide you through the treacherous paths of the marsh, leading you safely to dry land, or revealing hidden treasures buried deep within the earth. It was a beautiful reminder to the people of that time that even in the deepest, most confusing darkness, there was always a light to be found, provided one moved with patience and reverence. This belief instilled a deep sense of caution and respect for the natural world. People did not rush into the wild places of the earth with arrogance. They stepped softly, speaking in hushed tones, understanding that they were merely guests in a world governed by ancient, invisible laws. The night was not an enemy to be conquered with bright, harsh, artificial lights, but a sacred, mysterious domain to be respected. As you rest here in the complete safety of your room, let your mind embrace that same gentle patience. Picture those soft, flickering blue lights far out in the misty meadows, shining peacefully in the dark, acting as quiet guardians of the earth's secrets while the rest of the world sleeps. Let the soothing silence of this hour wrap around you like a warm blanket as we explore another beautiful and gentle belief held by our ancestors, the concept of animal sympathy. Long before modern psychology began to study the deep emotional bonds between humans and their pets, people in the past believed that animals possessed a quiet, spiritual wisdom that allowed them to sense, understand, and even absorb the invisible burdens of the human heart. Imagine a quiet farmhouse centuries ago. After a long, exhausting day of working under the hot sun or worrying about the future, a weary soul would sit by the hearth. At their feet, a loyal hound or a gentle cat would come to rest, placing its head softly on their knee. To the people of that era, this was not just a simple physical act of comfort. They believed that animals acted as emotional filters for the household. It was thought that when an animal looked into your eyes with that deep, unspoken understanding, it was intentionally drawing out your heavy thoughts, your worries and your restlessness, carrying those burdens away so that your soul could return to a state of perfect balance. Because of this profound belief, animals were treated not just as working tools, but as sacred companions and guardians of peace within the home. People believed that if you spoke gently to the creatures around you, they would carry your quiet hopes up into the fields and forests, creating a network of harmony between the household and the wild earth outside. There was no sense of loneliness in the ancient world. You were always surrounded by living beings who cared for your peace of mind. As you listen to the calm cadence of these words, feel your own worries being lifted away, leaving you completely light, relaxed, and at peace. If these gentle steps through history are helping you find a peaceful escape tonight, please take a soft moment to leave a like on this video or subscribe to the channel to join our quiet community of dreamers. Your gentle presence here means everything to us, and sharing a thoughtful comment when you wake helps these peaceful stories reach more weary minds around the world. For now, let everything go. There is nothing you need to fix, nowhere else you need to be. Allow yourself to rest deeply, feeling as safe and protected as a traveller sitting by an ancient, warm hearth, surrounded by the quiet comfort of the world. Let the gentle flow of time wash over you, smooth and slow, as we step into an era where even the passage of hours was measured by the gentle breathing of nature, long before digital numbers and ticking metal gears dominated our days. Our ancestors believed that time was a living, pulsing rhythm deeply woven into the fabric of the earth. This belief was beautifully captured in the concept of the horologium flori, or the flower clock. Imagine walking into a quiet, sun-drenched garden centuries ago. There are no loud alarms, no stressful deadlines. Instead, the gardener looks at the petals of the blossoms to know the time of day. Philosophers and botanists observed that certain flowers opened and closed their petals at incredibly specific moments, completely independent of the weather, guided entirely by an internal natural clock. They believed that at exactly 6 o'clock in the morning, the bright yellow hawkweed would unfurl its petals to greet the early light. By 8 o'clock, the soft orange marigolds would open their eyes, and at precisely noon, the delicate white water lilies would reach full bloom on the surface of the quiet ponds. As the sun began its slow golden descent, the pattern reversed. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the 4 o'clock flower would awaken, filling the cooling air with its rich, sweet perfume, while other blossoms gently folded themselves shut, tucking their petals away as if preparing for their own nightly rest. To the people of the past, this was not just a biological curiosity, it was a profound proof of a universe designed in perfect harmony. They believed that by surrounding themselves with these flowers, they could align their own daily routines with the natural breathing of the earth. Time was not something to be chased or fought against. It was a beautiful, fragrant dance that moved in complete symphony with the seasons and the sun. Think of how peaceful it must have been to live by the rhythm of opening blossoms, where the afternoon was announced not by a harsh bell, but by the sweet release of floral scent into the air. In this world, every hour brought a different flower, a different fragrance, and a different invitation to pause and appreciate the beauty of existence. As you lie here in the deep stillness of the night, imagine yourself resting in the center of that quiet, ancient garden. The flowers of the daytime have all folded their petals, sleeping peacefully beneath the silver moon, leaving only the sweet, gentle night-blooming blossoms to watch over your dreams. Let your body sink deeper into the soft embrace of your bed, feeling completely weighted, safe and still. As the silver moonlight filters through the window, let us drift into the quiet world of ancient mineralogy and the mysterious beliefs surrounding the stones of the earth. Centuries ago, people did not view crystals and rocks as cold, inanimate objects. They believed that certain minerals possessed a living connection to the celestial bodies above, most notably the beautiful pale crystal known as selenite, named after Selene, the ancient goddess of the moon. To the scholars, travellers, and dreamers of the past, this luminous stone was believed to be a physical fragment of the moon itself, fallen gently to the earth. They observed its soft, pearly glow, and firmly believed that the stone's internal light waxed and waned in perfect harmony with the actual phases of the moon in the night sky. When the moon was full and round, the crystal was thought to be at its brightest, radiating a cool, invisible energy that could calm a troubled mind and wash away the heat of a fever. Because of this deep belief, people would often place a small piece of this moon-linked stone beneath their pillows or hang it above their beds. They believed that the crystal acted as a silent, protective talisman for the night. It was thought to filter the darkness, absorbing any chaotic or heavy energies that might disrupt a person's rest, leaving only the purest, most tranquil thoughts to enter their dreams. To them, sleeping near such a stone was like sleeping under the direct, gentle protection of the moon itself, even on the cloudiest of winter nights. There was an immense sense of comfort in believing that the earth held physical remedies, designed specifically to soothe the human spirit during the hours of darkness. The world felt interconnected, a giant web of sympathy where the sky cared for the earth and the earth cared for the people who walked upon it. As you listen to the quiet cadence of this story, imagine that same cool, soothing moonlight wrapping around your thoughts, smoothing away any remaining tension from your day. If this peaceful journey into the ancient past is bringing comfort to your evening, please take a gentle, quiet moment to support our channel. You can hit the like button, subscribe for more restful nights, or leave a soft comment to share where in the world you are listening from tonight. Your gentle interactions help our quiet sanctuary grow, allowing more weary souls to find their way to a peaceful rest. But right now, there is nothing else you need to think about. Let the soft moonlit memories of the past guide you further into the gentle currents of sleep, where all stories dissolve into a beautiful, unbroken silence. Let the quiet weight of the night settle softly over your mind, like a gentle mist descending upon a sleeping valley. As we continue our slow journey through the landscapes of the past, let us listen closely to the spaces between the hills to explore a belief that turned the simple sounds of nature into a comforting embrace. For generations before the laws of acoustics were written down in modern text, our ancestors held a beautiful belief regarding the phenomenon of the echo. Imagine standing at the edge of a deep ancient forest or beneath the high smooth stone walls of a mountain canyon. As the sun begins to set, you call out into the vast emptiness, and a moment later your own voice returns to you, softer, clearer, floating back through the cool evening air. To the people of old, this was not viewed as a mere mechanical reflection of sound waves against a hard surface. Instead, they believed that the echo was a living, breathing spirit of the landscape, a gentle guardian of the valleys. They believed that the spirit of echo was an invisible, sympathetic presence whose sole purpose was to ensure that no human being ever felt truly alone in the vast, wild places of the earth. If a lonely shepherd sang a melancholy tune on a distant hillside, the echo would sing back in perfect harmony, sweetening the melody and carrying the weight of the isolation away. It was a world-view that infused every corner of the environment with life, intention, and companionship. The mountains were not cold, silent piles of rock. They were listening. The forests were not empty expanses of wood. They were responsive and aware. When people spoke or prayed in these sacred echoing spaces, they did so with a quiet reverence, knowing that their words were being carefully received, held, and gently returned by the earth itself. This belief gave people the profound comfort of knowing that whenever they reached out to nature, nature would always answer them back, repeating their gentlest thoughts and smoothing away their deepest anxieties. As you lie here in the complete stillness of your own room, let yourself feel that same sense of unconditional companionship. The world around you is quiet, yet it is fully supportive, holding a peaceful space for you to let go of the day and slide effortlessly into the realm of rest. This content is inspired by and adapted from public domain works, available through Project Gutenberg. The material has been transformed through original narration, editing and storytelling to create a unique experience for educational and entertainment purposes. Let the world around you dissolve into a soft, hazy distance as we step into the quiet hours before the dawn to explore a belief that cast a magical healing light over the simplest elements of nature. To our ancestors, the delicate water droplets that coated the fields and flowers every morning, what we call morning dew, held a profound cosmic mystery. They did not believe that dew came from the earth or from the humidity in the air. Instead, they believed it was a celestial gift, a pure essence that fell gently from the stars during the deepest hours of the night. Imagine an ancient natural philosopher or an early healer walking into a meadow at twilight. Just as the stars begin to fade, the grass is glittering as if covered in thousands of tiny diamonds. To the people of that time, these droplets were known as the tears of the sky or the sweat of the stars. They believed that, as the planets and constellations moved through their silent overnight journeys, they shed a fine, spiritual moisture that accumulated on the leaves of plants below. Because this dew was thought to be born in the heavens, far away from the dust and chaos of the human world, it was believed to possess extraordinary qualities of purity and restoration. Healers and families would rise in the dark, carrying small crystal vials to gently collect the dew from specific flowers, such as roses or wild thyme. They believed that applying this starlight-infused water to the eyes would clarify one's vision, and washing the face with it would clear away the lines of stress, exhaustion, and worry, restoring a youthful, peaceful glow to the spirit. There was an incredible poetic comfort in this belief. It meant that every single night, while humanity was asleep and vulnerable, the universe was busy washing the earth clean, showering it with a gentle, invisible medicine designed to refresh and renew the world for a new day. You did not have to face the world alone. The sky itself was looking after the fields, the trees, and the people, preparing a fresh, clean slate every single morning. As you rest your head tonight, imagine that same celestial purity gently washing over your mind. Let it clear away any heavy thoughts, any lingering doubts, or any worries about tomorrow. The stars above are still watching over you, moving in their timeless silent patterns, preparing the world to be fresh and peaceful for when you wake. Let your mind drift even deeper into the soft, comforting darkness, away from the cool morning dew and back into the cozy sanctuary of an ancient home. As the night wraps its silent arms around the world, let us sit by the memory of an old stone fireplace to explore a belief that turned the elemental force of fire into a gentle companion. Centuries ago, people did not view the fire in their hearth as a mere chemical reaction or a utility for cooking. They believed it was a living, breathing spirit, the very heart and soul of the household. Imagine a small, quiet cottage nestled in a valley long ago. Outside, the winter wind whispers through the bare branches of the trees, but inside the room is bathed in the warm, dancing amber light of a small fire to our ancestors. This fire was a sacred guardian. They believed that the flame possessed a gentle intelligence and a deep, unspoken sympathy for the family it protected. It was thought that the crackle and pop of the burning wood was the fire's way of talking, singing a soft, protective lullaby to keep the darkness and its anxieties at bay. Because of this profound belief, people treated the hearth with immense reverence. Before going to bed, the head of the household would perform a quiet nightly ritual called banking the fire. They would gently cover the glowing embers with a layer of grey ash, not to extinguish them, but to keep them safe, warm and breathing quietly through the long, dark hours of the night. They believed that as long as the embers stayed alive beneath the ash, the protective spirit of the home remained awake, watching over the sleeping family and filtering out any restless thoughts or bad dreams. There was a beautiful, deep sense of security in this tradition. People did not go to sleep feeling isolated in the dark. They knew that right in the center of their home, a warm, living friend was breathing softly, keeping the room safe and cozy until the morning sun returned. It was a worldview where even the elements of nature were ready to comfort you, to listen to your quietest sighs, and to wrap you in a blanket of absolute peace. As you lie here in the complete safety of the present moment, imagine those warm, protective embers glowing gently in the background of your mind. Feel the soft, steady warmth spreading through your body, relaxing every muscle and melting away the final remnants of the day's tension. You are completely safe, deeply cared for, and surrounded by an ancient, timeless peace that has guarded dreamers for generations. Let yourself drift further into the quiet depths of relaxation, where the thoughts of the waking world become nothing more than distant, fading echoes. As the midnight hour cradles the earth, let our journey take us to the edge of an ancient village, where a great, ancient oak tree stands silently against the starry sky. To the people of the past, these massive, deep-rooted trees were not just part of the landscape. They were believed to be the quiet protectors of the community, possessing a deep, slow wisdom that moved in harmony with the centuries. Imagine the village completely dark, save for the silver light of the moon filtering through the thick canopy of leaves. Our ancestors firmly believed in a concept known as the breath of the trees. They believed that during the daytime, trees absorbed the heavy, frantic energies of human labor, the worries of the marketplace, and the anxieties of daily life. Then as darkness fell and the world grew still, the great trees would slowly exhale. They released a pure, invisible and spiritual essence into the cool night air, a gentle, cooling breath that spread over the sleeping houses like a protective shield. People believed that this nighttime breath of the forest had the power to purify the human spirit while it rested. If someone had spent the day carrying a heavy heart or a restless mind, they were advised to sleep with their window open toward the oldest tree in the area. They believed that the cool, gentle breeze blowing through the leaves carried the tree's calm endurance directly into their rooms, smoothing away their fears and anchoring their souls to the deep, steady peace of the earth. There was a profound comfort in this ancient understanding. It meant that you did not have to carry your burdens alone through the darkness. The giant trees, which had stood for hundreds of years, were sharing their strength with you, breathing out a quiet lullaby of safety and stability. The world was viewed as a grand, caring sanctuary, where even the oldest living things were dedicated to keeping your dreams sweet and undisturbed. As you lie here in the complete stillness of your room, imagine that gentle, ancient forest breeze drifting softly around you now. Feel the deep, steady peace of those ancient roots anchoring your mind, allowing all your remaining thoughts to dissolve into the quiet, velvet dark. You are safe, you are protected, and the world is holding you in its gentle care. Let the heavy, soothing velvet of the night pull you down into a state of total stillness, where your breathing is as calm as the surface of a hidden forest lake. As we linger in these quiet spaces of the past, let us explore one final beautiful belief that governed how our ancestors viewed the very state of being asleep, the concept of the geography of dreams. To the people of old, dreams were not random, chaotic firings of a resting brain. They believed that dreaming was a literal, spiritual journey to a real, sacred dimension known as mundus somniolorum, the world of dreams. Imagine a weary traveller closing their eyes after a long journey. To the philosophers and mystics of that era, that moment of falling asleep was seen as crossing a gentle, misty border. They believed that while the physical body remained safe and warm in bed, the subtle spirit gently detached itself and stepped into a vast, beautiful landscape designed specifically for healing and reflection. This dream world was thought to have its own geography, lazy, winding rivers that could wash away memory of sorrow, soft, mossy valleys where the mind could rest without thoughts, and high, starlit hills where one could look back at their waking life with complete clarity and peace. Because they believed this world was a real place, people prepared for sleep with great reverence, treating it like a sacred pilgrimage. They would clear their minds of anger or malice before resting, ensuring that their spirit would enter the dream world through the golden gates of peaceful thoughts rather than the tangled thickets of anxiety. They believed that everything you experienced in a dream was a gift or a lesson from this gentle realm, meant to guide your steps when you returned to the waking world at dawn. There was an immense, beautiful freedom in this belief. It meant that sleep was never a waste of time, nor was it a blank void of nothingness. It was an active, beautiful sanctuary where your soul went to be restored, comforted, and untangled from the struggles of earthly life. Every night was an opportunity to leave your heavy burdens at the border and wander through valleys of pure peace, surrounded by the soft, warm light of a timeless cosmos. As you lie here now, completely relaxed and letting go of the physical world, feel yourself standing at the edge of that beautiful misty border. There is no rush, no anxiety, and nothing you need to carry with you. The path ahead is smooth, covered in soft moss, and bathed in the gentle, protective glow of 1,000 stars. Let the soft, deep rhythm of the night slow your thoughts down into a beautiful, weightless drift. As we step deeper into the quiet hours, let us look back up at the star-filled sky one more time to explore a belief that brought immense comfort to the hearts of ancient wanderers, the sacred story of the shooting stars. Long before modern astronomy explained these brief streaks of light as pieces of cosmic dust burning up in our atmosphere, our ancestors viewed them as active expressions of cosmic love and protection. Imagine a shepherd sitting on a quiet hillside, wrapped in a woolen cloak, looking up at the vast silver patterns of the constellations. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light glides smoothly across the dark canvas, leaving a fading trail of silver fire behind it. To the people of that time, this was not a random occurrence. In many ancient traditions, it was believed that a shooting star was a brief opening in the heavy curtain of heaven, a moment where the higher universe bent down closer to the earth to listen to the quietest whispers of humanity. They believed that these falling lights were vessels of pure heavenly essence, sent down to carry away the silent worries of the world. It was thought that if you cast your heaviest thoughts, your fears, or your deepest wishes onto the path of that fading light, the star would gently absorb them, transforming your anxieties into beautiful cosmic energy and leaving your mind completely light and clear. Because of this, the night sky was not feared. It was seen as a giant, responsive heart that looked after the well-being of every single soul resting under its canopy. There was a profound sense of peace in believing that the cosmos was actively participating in your comfort, that the very stars were ready to carry your burdens so that you could rest without heavy dreams. It created a world where you were never truly isolated in the dark, because the vast universe above was constantly sending down its light to remind you that you were safe, loved, and deeply protected. As you lie here in the complete stillness of this hour, imagine those gentle streaks of silver light gliding softly through the background of your mind. Feel them drawing out any remaining tension, any tiny thoughts of worry, leaving your spirit entirely calm, peaceful, and beautifully still. Let yourself drift even further, weightless and free, into the soft embrace of the deep nighttime. As the hours move slowly forward, let us turn our minds to an element that is always around us, yet often goes unnoticed in the busyness of the day: the night wind. Centuries ago, before weather patterns were mapped on digital screens, our ancestors looked at the breeze that rustled the window shutters with a sense of deep, spiritual gratitude, believing in a concept known as the whispering of the night wind. Imagine resting in a warm bed in a quiet village long ago. Outside, a gentle, cool breeze begins to move through the valley, making the grass sway and the leaves of the ancient trees sing in a low, rhythmic hum. To the people of that time, this wind was not just moving air, it was seen as the gentle voice of the earth itself, travelling from far-off mountains and hidden seas to bring a message of comfort to every home. They believed that the night wind carried away the residual heat and friction of the daytime, leaving behind a cool, clean blanket of tranquility. It was thought that if you listened closely to the soft rustle of the wind against your roof, you could hear the earth telling you that the day was over, that all your works were done, and that it was finally time to surrender to the dark. Healers often told those who could not rest to open their hearts to the sound of the wind, allowing its steady, unhurried cadence to synchronize with their breathing. In this way, the wind acted as a natural lullaby, smoothing out the rough edges of the human spirit and carrying the mind effortlessly into the realm of deep, dreamless sleep. There was an immense, beautiful comfort in this ancient understanding. It turned the simple sound of a breeze into a tangible act of love from the natural world. You did not have to feel alone or exposed in the dark, because the very atmosphere was alive, wrapping you in a continuous breathing circle of protection and peace. As you lie here now, completely still and at ease, listen to the imaginary rustle of that ancient night wind in your mind. Feel it blowing gently over your thoughts, brushing away the last remaining traces of urgency, leaving you perfectly relaxed, safe, and beautifully quiet in the velvet dark. Let yourself sink even deeper into the heavy, welcoming stillness of the night, feeling your body completely anchored in a space of perfect safety. As the silver moonlight continues its quiet dance across the floor, let us journey in our minds to the edge of a sleeping forest, where a small, clear stream flows gently over smooth, ancient stones. To our ancestors, the sound of water moving in the darkness held a profound spiritual remedy known in folklore as the lazy streams of sleep. Imagine sitting by the banks of that small river centuries ago, watching the starlight ripple upon its dark, liquid surface. People of the past did not view the constant babbling of a stream as a mere physical consequence of gravity and rock. They believed that water at night possessed a heightened, sympathetic connection to the human subconscious. They thought that as water travelled through the quiet valleys under the watch of the moon, it acted as a giant, flowing magnet for the restless energies of the human world. It was widely believed that if a person lay down to rest near the sound of running water, or even simply visualized its steady, unhurried flow, the stream would actively wash away the heavy footprints left by the day's worries. The continuous rhythmic melody of the water was thought to dissolve the sharp angles of stressful thoughts, smoothing them down until they became as round and gentle as the river stones below. In this ancient view, nature provided a continuous flowing clearinghouse for human anxiety, ensuring that your spirit could step into the world of dreams entirely unburdened. There was a beautiful, comforting simplicity to this belief. It meant that you never had to force your mind to become quiet through sheer willpower. Instead, you could simply hand your thoughts over to the ancient, flowing currents of the earth, trusting that nature knew exactly how to carry them away and dissolve them into the vast, peaceful ocean of the night. As you rest here in the complete tranquility of the present moment, imagine that same clear, lazy stream flowing softly through the quietest spaces of your mind. Listen to its gentle, liquid whisper, feeling it wash over every memory of tension, every tiny spark of restlessness, leaving your entire being beautifully clean, deeply relaxed, and drifting effortlessly toward the soft shores of sleep. Let your body become completely weightless now, as if you are gently floating upward into the cool, dark velvet of the midnight sky. As we move deeper into the quiet sanctuary of the night, let us look at the soft, silver-edged shapes that slowly drift across the face of the moon, the night clouds. Long before modern meteorology classified these formations by their height and moisture, our ancestors looked up at them with a sense of deep, spiritual gratitude, believing in a concept known as the blankets of peace. Imagine a quiet astronomer or a weary farmer looking up from a dark field centuries ago. They watched the large, shadowy clouds glide smoothly over the stars, occasionally softening the bright, brilliant light of the moon. To the people of that time, these clouds were not just water vapor. They were believed to be a protective, spiritual fabric woven by nature to shelter the earth during its most vulnerable hours. They thought that just as a mother places a soft quilt over a sleeping child, the sky drew these gentle clouds across the heavens to shield human eyes from the intense, raw energies of the deep cosmos. It was widely believed that these drifting night clouds acted as giant reservoirs of quietness, catching the restless thoughts that rose from the cities and villages below, filtering them through their misty layers and turning them into soft, ambient peace. When a cloud passed over your home, it was seen as a sign that a wave of absolute stillness was washing over your roof, inviting you to let go of your earthly concerns and surrender entirely to the dark. There was a profound, beautiful comfort in this ancient understanding. It turned the simple sight of a cloudy night into a tangible act of love and protection from the universe. You did not have to feel lonely or unprotected under the vast sky, because the very atmosphere was actively working to create a soft, dim, and perfectly balanced environment for your mind to rest and heal. As you lie here now, completely still and at peace, imagine those soft, silver-edged night clouds drifting gently through the background of your mind. Feel them wrapping around your thoughts, softening the sharp edges of any remaining worries, leaving you perfectly relaxed, safe, and beautifully quiet in the velvet dark. Let yourself sink even deeper into the soft, heavy weight of absolute stillness. Feel the quiet presence of the night enveloping you like a warm, protective mist. As we wander further through the gentle paths of the past, let us turn our focus to the oldest, most patient elements of the earth beneath us, the great silent stones. Long before modern geology began to analyze the crystal structures and mineral compositions of rocks, our ancestors held a beautiful and grounding belief known as the silence of the stones. Imagine a quiet meadow at twilight where large, ancient boulders sit half buried in the tall grass, catching the first silver rays of the rising moon. To the people of that time, these stones were not cold or lifeless objects. They were viewed as the ancient guardians of cosmic stillness, spiritual anchors that had stood in the exact same spot for hundreds of years, watching generations of humans come and go. People believed that during the busy hours of the day, these great stones acted as silent vessels, absorbing all the loud noises, the friction of human arguments, and the frantic energies of the waking world. Then, as darkness took over the land, the stones were thought to gently lock that day's chaotic noise deep inside their heavy ancient hearts, releasing instead a profound magnetic wave of pure silence back into the surrounding air. It was a common tradition for weary travellers or restless souls to go out and sit quietly against a large, moonlit rock at evening. They believed that by leaning their tired bodies against the ancient stone, their own internal restlessness, their racing thoughts and their anxieties would be drawn out and absorbed by the rock's immense, unchanging stability. There was a profound sense of comfort in this ancient philosophy. It meant that stability and quietness were always available to you, anchored firmly in the very foundations of the earth. You did not have to create peace within yourself through constant effort. You could simply lean back and let the ancient, steady strength of the world hold you up, trusting that nature would always provide a safe place for your mind to rest. As you lie here now, completely still and relaxed, imagine yourself leaning back against that ancient, warm and comforting stone of peace. Feel its deep, unchanging stability, anchoring your thoughts, smoothing away the final remnants of your day, and allowing your spirit to dissolve effortlessly into the dark, beautiful velvet of sleep. Let your eyelids grow heavier now, completely giving in to the soft, comforting dark that surrounds your bed. As the night deepens, let us drift into the soothing memory of a gentle midnight rain, to explore how our ancestors found comfort in the steady music of the skies. Long before science mapped the water cycle, people believed that a soft rain falling in the dark was a deliberate act of comfort from the heavens, known in ancient folklore as the symphony of night rain. Imagine resting inside a cozy room centuries ago, while outside a soft, steady rain begins to patter against the thatched roof and the leaves of the garden trees. To the people of the past, this was not viewed as a dreary or gloomy event. Instead, they believed that the spirits of the upper air were playing a vast, gentle stringed instrument designed specifically to lull the weary world to rest. They thought that the rhythmic, continuous sound of water droplets hitting the earth created a sacred acoustic shield around their homes. It was widely believed that this night music had the unique power to drown out the lingering echoes of the day's stress and the loud noises of the human world. The steady, predictable cadence of the rain was thought to soothe the human nervous system, acting as a natural metronome that slowed down a racing pulse and quieted a restless mind. People believed that as each drop of rain met the earth, it washed away a tiny fragment of human anxiety, burying it deep within the soil where it could do no more harm, leaving the air clean, fresh, and filled with absolute peace. There was an immense, beautiful security in this ancient belief. It meant that the sky itself was singing you to sleep, wrapping your home in a protective curtain of sound, so that you could let go of your watchfulness and rest deeply. You were not alone in the dark. The entire environment was working together to create the perfect, tranquil lullaby for your soul. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and relaxed, imagine the soft, steady sound of that ancient night rain falling gently around your thoughts. Let its calm, rhythmic patter wash over your mind, smoothing away the very last traces of your day and allowing you to drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful and unbroken sleep. Let your thoughts gently dissolve now, like a drop of ink in a vast, calm ocean of ink, feeling completely weightless, tranquil and free. As the midnight hours cradle the earth in absolute silence, let us look up once more at the silver tapestries of the sky to explore a belief that turned the cold expanse of outer space into a warm, protective roof, the lanterns of the stars. Long before telescopes measured the immense distance of the galaxies, our ancestors looked at the constellations as active, watching eyes of love. Imagine an ancient traveller resting on a soft bed of moss beneath the open sky centuries ago. Above them, the stars are not distant, burning balls of gas. They are viewed as sacred, celestial lanterns lit by the guardians of the universe. People of old believed that each constellation held a specific, gentle energy meant to watch over the earth while humanity was asleep and vulnerable. They thought that the soft flickering light of the stars was a sign that these cosmic guardians were actively keeping watch, scanning the dark corners of the world to ensure that peace and safety remained unbroken. Because of this deep belief, looking at the night sky before sleep was a sacred ritual of surrender. People would gaze up at the stars and mentally hand over their fears, their unfulfilled desires, and their daily anxieties to the celestial lanterns above. They believed that the stars, with their eternal, unchanging stability, could easily hold those heavy burdens, leaving the human mind completely light, clear, and ready to enter the dream world without a single care. There was a profound, beautiful comfort in this ancient philosophy. It meant that you were never truly alone or exposed in the darkness. The entire universe was acting as a giant protective canopy, holding a billion lights awake just so that you could close your eyes in absolute security and peace. As you lie here now, completely relaxed and warm in your bed, imagine that same soft silver starlight wrapping gently around your mind. Feel the eternal quietness of the stars, smoothing away the very last remnants of your thoughts, allowing your spirit to let go completely and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and timeless sleep. Let your breathing become as slow and steady as the deep, silent turning of the earth itself. Every muscle in your body is completely heavy, relaxed, and resting in absolute safety. As the midnight darkness holds the world in its gentle embrace, let us turn our ears toward the ground to explore a beautiful, grounding belief that turned the quiet sounds of the earth into a masterclass of healing, the lullaby of the soil. Long before modern biology studied the communication of nocturnal creatures, our ancestors listened to the soft chirping of crickets and the gentle rustle of the grass as a sacred living song. Imagine walking along a quiet country path centuries ago, surrounded by the velvet dark. From the hedgerows and the deep soil, a soft, continuous chorus of tiny voices rises into the cool air. To the people of that time, this was not just background noise. They believed that the earth itself was breathing through these tiny creatures, singing a continuous, low-frequency lullaby designed specifically to soothe the human heart. They thought that these nocturnal melodies carried a unique vibration from the deep, stable layers of the ground, an energy that could realign a troubled spirit and mend the invisible fractures of a long, exhausting day. It was widely believed that listening to this gentle, earthy chorus before sleep could draw the heavy, chaotic thoughts down out of your head and bury them safely in the quiet soil, where they would dissolve into peace. The predictable, hypnotic rhythm of the crickets acted as a natural anchor for the mind, slowing down a racing pulse and whispering to the soul that it was finally time to rest. In this ancient view, you did not have to find stillness on your own. The very ground beneath your home was actively singing it directly into your room, wrapping you in a blanket of natural harmony. There was a profound, timeless comfort in this understanding. It meant that you were always connected to a source of deep, maternal care. The earth was not a cold, indifferent rock. It was a living, protective presence, organizing a beautiful nighttime symphony just to ensure that your sleep was sweet, deep, and completely undisturbed. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and deeply relaxed, imagine that soft, rhythmic song of the earth humming gently in the background of your mind. Let its warm, grounding vibration soothe away the very last traces of your thoughts, allowing your entire being to let go completely and sink effortlessly into a beautiful, unbroken sleep. Let your spirit become completely soft and still, like a feather drifting through a quiet, windless night sky. Your breath is deep, easy, and perfectly aligned with the natural rhythm of the sleeping world. As the midnight hour holds you in its protective embrace, let us wander in our minds to the quiet borderland that sits between our waking thoughts and the world of sleep, known in ancient folklore as the threshold of twilight. Centuries ago, people did not view the act of falling asleep as a sudden, mechanical shutting off of the mind. Instead, they imagined it as a slow, beautiful walk through a gentle valley filled with silver mist. To our ancestors, this threshold was a sacred space of transition. They believed that, as you approached the gates of sleep, The universe provided a soft intermediate realm where all the sharp edges of your daily identity, your obligations, your worries, and your earthly titles could be gently unraveled and laid aside. It was thought that the pale, misty air of this borderland acted as a natural filter for the soul. As you stepped into it, any heavy memories of frustration, any lingering doubts, or any anxieties about the future would slowly dissolve into the mist, becoming completely weightless and harmless. People believed that by the time you reached the true gateway of dreams, your spirit would be as pure and light as a newborn child, carrying nothing into the night but the capacity for absolute peace and deep restoration. There was an immense, beautiful comfort in this ancient understanding. It meant that you never had to carry the baggage of your day into your rest. The universe had designed a beautiful, forgiving buffer zone, an invisible sanctuary whose only purpose was to clean your slate and ensure that your dreams were untangled from the struggles of the waking world. As you lie here now, completely warm and safe in your bed, feel yourself resting gently in that soft silver mist of the threshold. There is absolutely nothing you need to figure out, nothing you need to remember, and nothing you need to carry. Let the gentle currents of this peaceful borderland pull you further under, allowing your mind to release its very last thoughts and slide effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and unbroken sleep. Let go of the very last thread of attention, allowing your mind to sink into a state of pure, weightless surrender. Your body is completely supported, deeply relaxed, and perfectly still. As the velvet darkness wraps itself securely around you, let us rest our thoughts upon one final profound belief from the ancient sages, the concept of the wellspring of quietude. Long before modern life measured time by the constant ticking of clocks, our ancestors believed that at the silent center of the universe there existed an invisible, eternal fountain of pure peace. They believed that during the bright, active hours of the day, this fountain remained hidden, bubbling quietly beneath the surface of reality, while humanity built, traveled, and labored. But when the sun dipped below the horizon and the world grew dark, the wellspring of quietude would gently overflow. It poured a soft, invisible tide of primordial stillness across the continents, filling every valley, every forest, and every quiet bedroom with a deep, healing energy that existed long before the world began. To the people of old, this nighttime tide was a sacred medicine. They believed that when you slept, you were not just turning off your mind, you were actively bathing your spirit in this cosmic fountain. They thought that as you floated within this deep pool of absolute quiet, the exhaustion of your muscles would be completely washed away, the fractures of your thoughts would be seamlessly mended, and your soul would be gently restored to its original peaceful state of being. There was an incredible, timeless security in this worldview. It meant that peace was not something you had to build or chase after. It was a fundamental, endless ocean that rose up to look after you every single night. You only had to stop, let go, and allow yourself to sink into its warm, protective currents. As you lie here now, completely insulated from the waking world, feel that soft, ancient tide of the wellspring rising gently around you. Let it fill the quiet spaces of your mind, washing over the very last remnants of your thoughts. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to hold on to, and nowhere else you need to be. You are safe, you are protected. Let yourself dissolve completely and drift away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let your mind drift completely free now, like a single autumn leaf floating down upon the glassy surface of a hidden midnight lake. Every breath you take is soft, effortless, and deeply peaceful, carrying you further away from the active world. As the silent hours of the night continue to guard your rest, let us visualize a beautiful ancient belief that found a sacred medicine in the still waters of the dark, the mirror of the lake. Centuries ago, before the world became filled with artificial lights and constant movement, our ancestors looked at a calm body of water beneath the moon with immense reverence. They did not see a night lake as just a geographical feature. They believed it was a living spiritual mirror designed by nature to soothe the human subconscious. They thought that during the day, the human mind became cluttered with shattered reflections, fragments of unfinished tasks, passing worries, and the chaotic images of daily life. It was widely believed that as the stars came out, these restless, fragmented thoughts would naturally drift toward the nearest body of still water. The night lake, acting as a gentle reservoir of peace, would catch these distorted reflections upon its dark surface. Then, through the quiet magic of the moonlight, the water would slowly iron out the ripples, dissolving the chaotic thoughts into its deep, cool currents and turning them into a state of absolute unmoving stillness. By morning, the water had purified the emotional atmosphere of the land, leaving the human spirit refreshed and clear. There was a profound grounding comfort in this ancient philosophy. It meant that you did not have to carry the scattered pieces of your day within your own mind. Nature had provided vast, silent mirrors across the earth to hold those reflections for you, to smooth them down and to quiet them while you rested your head in complete safety. As you lie here now, completely warm, secure, and relaxed, imagine your own thoughts gently dissolving into the deep, still waters of that ancient night lake. Feel the ripples of your mind growing smaller and smaller until the surface becomes perfectly flat, perfectly calm, and beautifully dark. There is nothing left to hold on to, nothing left to see. Let yourself sink gently beneath the surface of this absolute quiet and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and unbroken sleep. Let your body sink even deeper into the soft, heavy embrace of your bed, feeling completely supported, warm and boundlessly safe. The waking world has faded into a distant, insignificant whisper, leaving only this beautiful velvet space. As the midnight stillness deepens around you, let us explore an ancient, lyrical belief that turned the very darkness into a gentle weaver of peace, the silver thread of the night. Centuries ago, before the mysteries of the cosmos were explained through equations and cold data, our ancestors believed that the night was not just an absence of sunlight. They viewed it as a living, gentle artisan. They believed that as the moon reached its highest point, it began to spin invisible, microscopic threads of pure silver light, weaving them together with the deep blue essence of the night sky. These threads were thought to drift softly down toward the earth, passing through roofs and windows, gently wrapping around every living being that was ready to rest. According to this ancient wisdom, these silver threads had a beautifully therapeutic purpose. They did not bind or restrict. Instead, they acted as gentle conductors of cosmic harmony. As the threads brushed against your tired eyelids, your shoulders, and your heart, they were believed to synchronize your physical body with the slow, deep, and patient breathing of the earth itself. They smoothed away the invisible knots of tension built up from hours of labor, untangling the complicated thoughts in your mind and replacing them with a soft, uniform sense of absolute tranquility. There was a profound, deeply comforting safety in this worldview. It meant that as you closed your eyes, you were being gently cared for by a universe that valued your rest. You did not have to actively force your muscles to relax or your mind to stop racing. You only had to yield to the invisible silver fabric of the night, trusting that it would hold your spirit together and shield you from any restless dreams. As you lie here now, completely insulated from the demands of the day, imagine those soft silver threads of peace drifting gently around you. Feel them cooling your mind, relaxing your body from your head to your toes, and smoothing away the very last remnants of your thoughts. There is nothing left to hold on to, nothing left to do. The night has woven its perfect blanket of safety around you. Let go, completely sink into the quiet dark, and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself float away entirely now, completely weightless and untethered from the waking world. Your breath is a soft, slow wave moving in perfect harmony with the absolute quiet of the midnight hour. As we linger in this beautiful, dark sanctuary, let us lift our eyes to the distant dark silhouettes that border our world, to explore a comforting belief known as the cradle of the ancient mountains. Centuries ago, when people looked at the massive stone peaks rising into the starry sky, they did not see them as cold, indifferent barriers of rock. Our ancestors believed that the mountains were the oldest, wisest elder spirits of the earth, possessing a deep, maternal instinct to protect. They believed that when the sun went down, these giant stone guardians would metaphorically expand their unseen spiritual presence, bending slightly inward to form a massive protective cradle around all the valleys, plains, and sleeping villages nestled at their feet. According to this ancient folklore, the mountains stood as a shield against the erratic, heavy winds of the upper atmosphere and the restless energies of the wider world. People believed that as long as you slept within the sight of a mountain, your soul was being actively held in an unbreakable fortress of safety. The immense, unchanging stability of the stone was thought to radiate through the night air, anchoring the fragile human spirit, smoothing down the mountains of anxiety into gentle hills of peace, and whispering to the restless mind that it was safe to let down its guard completely. There was an incredible, grounding comfort in this ancient philosophy. It meant that you did not have to find the strength to protect yourself through the dark hours. The very bones of the earth were standing up around you, taking on the responsibility of keeping the world still so that you could close your eyes without a single doubt or fear. As you lie here now, completely warm, secure, and deeply relaxed, imagine the ancient, steady presence of those giant stone guardians wrapping gently around your room. Feel their immense stability drawing out the very last drops of tension from your muscles and the final fading thoughts from your mind. There is absolutely nothing left to carry and nothing left to do. You are held, you are safe. Let go completely. Slide into the quiet velvet dark and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and unbroken sleep. Let your body sink even further into the velvet darkness, feeling completely heavy, peaceful, and beautifully still. Your breath is a slow, quiet whisper, fading into the gentle rhythm of the midnight world. As we rest in this perfect sanctuary of the night, let us turn our minds to a soft, ethereal element that often blankets the earth during these quiet hours, the night mist. Long before modern science defined it as mere moisture condensing in the cool air, our ancestors held a deeply comforting belief known as the breath of the night mist. Imagine looking out over a quiet meadow long ago, watching a pale silver-blue veil of mist rise gently from the grass, moving slowly under the light of the stars. To the people of old, this mist was not a sign of coldness or dampness. They believed it was the literal soothing breath of the earth itself. They thought that after a long day of absorbing the heat of the sun and the busy movements of humanity, the earth would exhale this soft, cooling mist to signal that it was time for all things to heal and grow quiet. It was widely believed that this night mist possessed a unique spiritual softness. As it drifted through the trees and brushed past the windows of sleeping homes, it was thought to absorb the invisible, lingering echoes of human fatigue. The old healers said that the mist had the power to blur the sharp edges of memory, making the worries, the frustrations, and the urgencies of the daytime fade into soft, harmless shadows. When you lay down to sleep surrounded by the quiet spirit of the mist, your mind was allowed to become as still and clear as a hidden forest clearing. There was an immense, beautiful freedom in this ancient understanding. It turned a simple night fog into a tangible act of love and renewal from nature. You did not have to actively clean your own mind of stress. The earth was sending its own gentle breath to wrap around you, to soften your thoughts, and to ensure that you were entirely insulated from the waking world. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and deeply relaxed, imagine that soft silver-blue night mist drifting gently through the quietest spaces of your mind. Feel it wrapping around your remaining thoughts, turning them into light, weightless clouds that slowly drift away. There is nothing left to hold on to, and nothing left to do. Let go completely, sink into the beautiful dark, and drift effortlessly into a deep, peaceful and unbroken sleep. Let yourself sink down, deeper and even deeper now into the heavy, immensely welcoming embrace of your bed. allowing every single muscle, every tight nerve, and every lingering thought to completely surrender to the dark. Feel the absolute weight of your body as it rests here, entirely supported by the earth beneath you, completely insulated from the demands, the noise, and the endless movement of the waking world. As the midnight hour spreads its long velvet wings across the landscape, wrapping everything in a blanket of sacred silence, let us journey in our minds down into the deep, dark soil to explore a beautiful grounding belief that brought immense comfort to the hearts of ancient forest dwellers: the concept of the deep symphony of the roots. Centuries ago, long before modern botany discovered how trees communicate through complex underground fungal networks, our ancestors looked at the massive ancient forests with a sense of deep, spiritual awe. They observed how the oldest oak, pine, and banyan trees stood completely unmoving through the darkest nights, their giant branches reaching up to touch the silver stars. But to the people of that time, the true magic of the forest was not what was visible above the ground. It was what was happening completely out of sight, deep within the dark, warm, and ancient womb of the earth. They believed that when the sun finally dipped below the horizon and the busy animals retreated to their nests, the massive root systems of the giant trees would awake into a different kind of life. It was widely thought that during the quiet hours of the night, these ancient roots would begin to thrum with a very low, incredibly slow and rhythmic vibration, a deep, silent symphony that travelled softly through the soil, across the valleys, and directly beneath the floors of human dwellings. This was not a sound that could be heard with the ears. It was a cosmic frequency that could only be felt by the resting human spirit. Imagine a weary wanderer lying on the dirt floor of a simple wooden cabin long ago, listening to the complete absence of human sound. To them, the ground beneath their body was not just cold, dead earth. It was a living, breathing network of strength. They believed that the deep, slow thrumming of the tree roots acted as a giant, energetic anchor for the entire world. They thought that as this underground symphony pulsed gently through the darkness, it had the unique power to absorb the chaotic, fragmented energies that humans accumulated during their daylight hours, the anxieties of survival, the friction of arguments, and the heavy weight of unfulfilled desires. According to this ancient folklore, the roots would draw those heavy, restless human thoughts down into their deep woody channels, filtering them through the clean soil and transforming them into pure, grounded peace. The old sages used to tell those who were plagued by sleeplessness to mentally extend their own awareness downward, imagining their minds connecting with the ancient roots of the trees. By doing this, your own internal rhythm, your racing pulse, your shallow breathing, and your spinning thoughts would naturally slow down until it perfectly synchronized with the giant, unhurried heartbeat of the forest. There was a profound, timeless sense of safety in this beautiful understanding. It meant that you never had to carry the burden of finding stillness entirely on your own. You did not have to struggle to quiet your mind through sheer willpower. Instead, you could simply relax your body, let go of your defense mechanisms, and allow yourself to be cradled by a massive, interconnected network of ancient living things that were actively working to keep the world stable, secure, and perfectly quiet while you slept. The earth was not an indifferent rock. It was an active guardian, holding you steady in the palm of its hand. As you lie here now in the absolute sanctuary of this dark hour, completely warm, safe, and protected, imagine that same deep, slow symphony of the roots vibrating gently beneath you. Feel its immense, unchanging stability, drawing out the very last drops of tension from your shoulders, your jaw, and your forehead. Let the heavy, grounding energy of the earth rise up to meet you, smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. There is absolutely nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember, and nowhere else you need to be. You are held by the universe. Let go completely, sink into the beautiful velvet dark, and drift effortlessly into a deep, dreamless and eternal sleep. Let yourself drift away even further now, feeling completely weightless, endlessly comfortable, and deeply dissolved into the soft velvet darkness that cradles your room. With every slow, gentle breath you take, feel your body becoming heavier and heavier, sinking naturally into the welcoming embrace of your bed, completely giving up any remaining need to control, to think, or to remember. The waking world has now receded into a distant, utterly faded memory, leaving you here in this perfect, quiet sanctuary of the deep night. As the stars continue their silent, eternal watch over the sleeping earth, let us turn our minds toward a beautiful meditative concept held by the ancient stargazers, the hidden rhythm of the celestial hourglass. Centuries ago, before the invention of mechanical clocks that tick with a sharp, urgent demand, our ancestors did not measure the passage of the night by rigid numbers or stressful deadlines. Instead, they viewed the night as a vast cosmic flow, a gentle, invisible river of time that moved as softly and predictably as fine, golden sand slipping through a grand, celestial hourglass held by the hands of the universe. To the people of that time, each passing moment of the dark was not just time disappearing, it was a physical process of letting go, a sacred mechanism designed to unburden the human soul. Imagine an ancient philosopher sitting quietly by an open window long ago, looking up at the slow turning of the constellations. In the profound silence of the midnight hour, they believed they could feel the soft, microscopic movement of the night's sand drifting down through the cosmos. They believed that as each invisible grain of time fell from the upper chamber of the sky to the lower, it carried away with it one tiny fragment of the day's weight. One grain would carry away a stressful conversation, another would carry away a lingering doubt, and yet another would dissolve a physical ache in the body. According to this beautiful folklore, the night was a continuous process of emptying. The ancient healers taught that human exhaustion was simply the result of carrying too many stories, too many worries, and too many tasks within the mind at once. When the night arrived, it was seen as a divine invitation to hand those burdens over to the celestial hourglass. People believed that you did not have to actively figure out how to relax your mind. You only had to lie perfectly still, close your eyes, and allow the gentle downward flow of the night's time to naturally drain the tension out of your spirit, leaving you completely empty, clean, and still. There was an immense, deeply grounding comfort in this ancient understanding of time. It removed all the pressure from the act of resting. In our modern world, we often worry about not falling asleep fast enough, turning sleep into another task to achieve. But to our ancestors, the celestial hourglass reminded them that the night knows exactly how to take care of you. The passage of the hours was not an enemy to be feared, but a gentle, washing tide that was actively working on your behalf, smoothing out the rough edges of your mind and carrying you effortlessly closer to the world of deep, restorative dreams. As you rest here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully insulated from the waking world, imagine that grand, silent hourglass of the cosmos turning gently above your mind. Feel the invisible soft grains of the night's time slipping slowly and smoothly through your thoughts, carrying away the very last remnants of your day. With each breath you exhale, feel a grain of tension leaving your shoulders, leaving your jaw, and leaving your forehead. Your mind is becoming perfectly light, perfectly still, and beautifully empty. There is absolutely nothing you need to hold on to, nothing you need to achieve, and nowhere else you need to go. You are entirely safe in the hands of the night. Let go completely, surrender to the heavy dark velvet, and drift away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting deeper and deeper into the velvety, infinitely soft layers of the midnight dark, feeling your entire body completely expanding into a state of total unbothered comfort. With every slow, measured breath that leaves your lips, feel a wave of absolute relaxation traveling from the crown of your head, down through your neck, smoothing over your shoulders, and running all the way down to the tips of your toes. The waking world, with all its chaotic demands, its bright lights, and its non-stop urgency, has now completely dissolved into a distant, faded echo that no longer has any power over you. You are here perfectly safe, beautifully protected, and entirely cocooned within this dark sanctuary. Let us now travel in our minds deep beneath the earth's crust to discover a comforting mystical belief held by the ancient miners and keepers of the earth, the subterranean beacons of peace. Centuries ago, long before modern science began to map the earth using seismic waves and satellite imagery, the people of the ancient world believed that the interior of the earth was not just a cold, dense mass of stone and iron. Instead, they envisioned the deep earth as a living, breathing heart, filled with vast, hidden crystalline chambers that remained completely untouched by the turbulence of the surface world. To our ancestors, these deep, secret caverns held giant, ancient crystals that had been growing in absolute darkness and perfect isolation for millions of years, absorbing the purest, most stable energies of the planet. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that these hidden crystals acted as subterranean beacons, emitting an invisible, warm, and highly therapeutic frequency of peace. This was not a light that could be seen by human eyes, nor was it a sound that could be captured by human ears. It was an ancient elemental pulse, a deep, magnetic wave of pure stillness that radiated upward through the dark layers of soil, through the heavy foundations of stone, and directly into the homes and beds of sleeping humanity. The old mystics believed that this subterranean pulse was nature's ultimate remedy for a fractured, overworked mind. Imagine a weary traveller centuries ago, lying down to sleep on a simple mat inside a stone cottage, feeling the immense quiet of the countryside. They believed that as they rested their body close to the earth, the invisible frequency from these deep crystalline beacons would slowly rise up to greet them. They thought that this grounding energy would gently interface with the human spirit, acting like a soft, spiritual sponge that absorbed the static electricity of daily stress, the worries of tomorrow, and the restless thoughts that keep the mind spinning in circles. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to work hard to find peace within yourself. You didn't need to force your brain to stop thinking or stress about your inability to relax. The very planet you lived on was already generating a vast, endless ocean of stillness beneath your feet, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms upward into your room, waiting for you to simply let go and ride its gentle waves. All that was required of you was to surrender your weight to the bed, to trust the stability of the ground, and to allow this ancient subterranean lullaby to wash over your senses. There was a profound, deeply comforting beauty in this understanding of the world. It reminded our ancestors that they were never alone, never floating anchorless in an indifferent universe. The earth itself was actively cradling them, holding a deep and eternal supply of quietness, awake in its heart, just so that its children could close their eyes in absolute security. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully insulated from the external world, imagine that soft, invisible pulse of the deep earth crystals rising gently up to surround your bed. Feel its immense, unshakable stability grounding your thoughts, smoothing away the very last remnants of your daily anxieties. Let your mind become as still, as clear, and as beautifully quiet as those hidden crystal chambers deep below. There is absolutely nothing left for you to do, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else you need to be. You are perfectly held. Let go completely, slide down into the soft, dark velvet, and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting effortlessly into the infinite, velvety layers of the midnight dark, feeling your entire body completely expanding into a state of total, unbothered comfort. With every slow, measured breath that leaves your lips, feel a wave of absolute relaxation traveling from the crown of your head, down through your neck, smoothing over your shoulders, and running all the way down to the tips of your toes. The waking world, with all its chaotic demands, its bright lights, and its non-stop urgency, has now completely dissolved into a distant, faded echo that no longer has any power over you. You are here, perfectly safe, beautifully protected, and entirely cocooned within this dark sanctuary. Let us now travel in our minds back to the ancient hearths of old to discover a comforting, mystical belief held by the early storytellers of the world, the loom of the dream weavers. Centuries ago, long before modern psychology began to study the mechanics of the subconscious mind and the rapid eye movement of sleep, our ancestors did not view dreaming as a random firing of brain cells. Instead, they envisioned the transition from waking to sleeping as a beautifully coordinated act of celestial craftsmanship. To the people of that time, the night was guarded by gentle, unseen spirits, known as the dream weavers, whose only purpose was to protect the human soul during its hours of vulnerability, ensuring that every weary mind found its way into a sanctuary of pure peace. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that as the sun finally disappeared below the horizon, these cosmic artisans would set up a magnificent invisible loom made of starlight and shadow above the earth. Throughout the quiet hours of the twilight and the deep midnight, they would begin to spin a soft, weightless fabric woven from the gentle silver rays of the crescent moon, the cooling morning dew, and the profound silence of the deep forests. This sacred fabric was known as the veil of sanctuary, and it was thought to drift softly down from the heavens, expanding until it wrapped around the bed of every resting person, forming a protective spiritual cocoon. Imagine a tired farmer or an exhausted traveller centuries ago lying down inside their home and watching the embers of the fire slowly die out. They believed that they were not just lying alone in a dark room. They believed they were being enclosed inside a sacred heavenly nest. They thought that this invisible veil dangled around their bed, acting like an unbreakable energetic shield that filtered out the harsh realities of the physical world. Any lingering anxieties about the harvest, any doubts about the future, or any heavy burdens carried from the day would meet this silver fabric and instantly dissolve into harmless drifting mist. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to work hard to protect your own mind or force yourself to feel peaceful. The universe had already provided these cosmic guardians to do the heavy lifting for you. The loom of the dream weavers was constantly at work, weaving a custom blanket of absolute safety just for you, waiting for you to simply close your eyes and lean your head back against the pillow. All that was required of your spirit was to stop struggling, to surrender your physical weight to the comfort of your bed, and to trust that the night would hold you safely together until the arrival of the morning sun. There was a profound, deeply comforting beauty in this ancient understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a loss of control, but a beautiful return to a state of total care. You did not have to worry about the dark hours or feel exposed in the silence, because the entire cosmos was actively working to create a soft, perfectly insulated space for your heart to heal, your muscles to restore, and your mind to dream without fear. As you lie here now, completely warm, secure, and beautifully disconnected from the worries of the daylight, imagine that soft silver-woven veil of the dream weavers descending gently over your bed. Feel its weightless, cooling fabric brushing softly against your eyelids, relaxing your jaw and releasing the very last traces of tension from your chest. Let your thoughts blend seamlessly with the quiet movements of the loom, becoming lighter, softer, and beautifully still. There is absolutely nothing left for you to solve tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else you need to go. You are perfectly safe, perfectly held, and perfectly loved by the quiet night. Let go completely, sink down into the deep velvet dark, and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely into the boundless velvet depth of this peaceful midnight hour, feeling your entire body becoming beautifully heavy, soft, and completely resting in a state of absolute undisturbed comfort. With every slow, deep, and unhurried breath that flows in and out of your body, imagine a warm wave of pure relaxation gently moving through your forehead, loosening your eyes, relaxing your jaw, and traveling softly down through your spine until it reaches the very tips of your toes. The busy world of the daytime, with all its endless friction, its loud noises, and its constant demands, has now totally dissolved into a faint, insignificant whisper that can no longer touch you. You are here, in this perfect sanctuary of the dark, completely insulated and profoundly safe. Let us now travel back in our thoughts to the quiet cottages of the past to explore a beautiful, heart-warming belief held by our ancestors, the concept of the eternal embers of the hearth. Centuries ago, long before modern homes were equipped with automatic central heating and bright electrical grids, the life of every family revolved around the central fireplace, the stone hearth. To the people of that time, the fire was not just a tool for cooking or warming the room. It was viewed as a living, breathing, protective spirit, the very heart of the home. They believed that when the family prepared for bed and the large flames were gently put out, the fire did not actually die. Instead, beneath the thick grey layer of protective ash, the glowing red embers remained awake, pulsing with a deep, silent, and incredibly comforting life force throughout the entire night. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that these hidden embers radiated a powerful, invisible aura of pure love, ancestral protection, and absolute safety. As the room grew darker, and the cold night winds howled outside the thick wooden walls, this soft, unseen warmth would slowly expand outward from the stone hearth. It would drift gently across the floorboards, climbing up the edges of the blankets and wrapping every sleeping family member in a spiritual embrace that kept all coldness, nightmares, and anxieties completely away from their beds. Imagine a weary worker centuries ago, lying beneath a heavy wool blanket, watching the very last faint red glow fade from the fireplace. In that profound silence, they did not feel cold or abandoned by the light. They felt an immense sense of security, knowing that the ancient spirit of the fire was still awake beneath the ashes, actively keeping watch over their breath. They believed that this invisible warmth had the unique power to melt away the mental hardness of the day's labor, the worries of survival, the fatigue of the muscles, and the heavy thoughts of tomorrow. The glowing embers acted as a silent promise that the home would remain safe, warm, and blessed until the morning sun returned. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to carry the responsibility of keeping yourself safe through the dark hours. The sanctuary of your home, anchored by the memory of the hearth, was already doing that work for you. The invisible warmth was constantly at watch, creating a beautiful, protective perimeter around your dreams, waiting for you to simply surrender your weight and let go of your vigilance. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe softly, to trust in the shelter that surrounded you, and to allow your thoughts to become as quiet and peaceful as the fading embers beneath the ash. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that the darkness of the night was never something to fear, because the internal light of the home was always there, guarding them from within the stones. You could completely let down your guard, release your muscles, and sink into a state of total vulnerability, knowing that a deep ancient presence was holding the space secure while your body restored itself. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled in your own bed, imagine that same soft, invisible warmth of the ancestral hearth glowing gently at the center of your mind. Feel its peaceful, radiant energy dissolving the very last remnants of your daily thoughts, making your mind feel beautifully light, soft, and still. There is absolutely nothing you need to solve tonight, nothing you need to plan, and nowhere else you need to go. You are entirely protected, entirely held, and completely safe within the quiet velvet dark. Let go completely, surrender to the heavy comfort of the night, and drift effortlessly into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself dissolve even further now, sinking completely and without any resistance into the deep, infinite, and beautifully heavy velvet of this midnight hour. Feel your body becoming lighter and lighter in spirit, yet profoundly heavy and grounded in reality, as if you are completely merging with the soft texture of your mattress. With every slow, deep, and gentle breath that flows naturally through your chest, imagine all the tightly wound thoughts in your mind completely untangling themselves, drifting away like wisps of smoke into the quiet night air. The bright, loud, and demanding world of the daytime has now officially closed its doors, leaving you behind in this absolute sanctuary of stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is perfectly well. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to the ancient philosophy of the Eastern mystics, to explore a profoundly comforting belief about the nature of the dark hours, the concept of the slow river of nocturnal shadow. Centuries ago, long before modern psychology sought to measure the depth of human sleep through brainwaves and electronic monitors, our ancestors did not view the darkness of night as a stagnant, empty void. Instead, they believed that the night was a living, moving entity, a vast, invisible river of soft, sweet shadow that began to flow gently across the earth the moment the sun disappeared. To the people of old, this river did not move with the dangerous rushing speed of a mountain torrent. It flowed with an incredibly slow, thick and soothing rhythm, much like warm honey or a calm, winding stream cutting through a peaceful valley. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that when a person closed their eyes for sleep, their consciousness was like a tiny, weightless leaf falling gently onto the surface of this nocturnal river. They believed that you did not need to swim, you did not need to steer, and you certainly did not need to worry about the direction of your thoughts. The current of the night river was so perfectly designed by the universe that it would naturally, automatically cradle your spirit, carrying you completely away from the banks of the waking world, where all your duties, names, and daily struggles were left standing on the shore. Imagine an ancient scholar or a tired laborer centuries ago resting their head upon a wooden pillow, listening to the absolute silence of the deep night. In that beautiful isolation, they imagined their soul floating freely upon this dark cosmic river. They believed that as the slow current carried them further into the midnight hours, the gentle water of shadow would softly wash over the exterior of their mind. It would dissolve the sharp memories of the day's friction. It would smooth out the internal dialogues of anxiety, and it would completely wash away the invisible dust of fatigue that accumulates from hours of standing, thinking, and working. According to this timeless wisdom, you never had to figure out how to navigate your way into a deep sleep through your own effort. The river of the night was already moving beneath you, its gentle waves pulsing with a slow, hypnotic cadence that naturally synchronized your heartbeat, your breathing, and your nerve pathways with the grand, quiet rhythm of the sleeping cosmos. All that was required of your being was to completely surrender your weight, to stop holding on to the edges of your thoughts, and to trust that this ancient stream of peace would safely carry your soul through the dark hours and return you to the morning fully restored. There was an immense, boundlessly comforting beauty in this ancient understanding of the night. It took away all the pressure and frustration that modern people often feel when they cannot fall asleep instantly. It reminded our ancestors that rest is not a task to be accomplished, but a state of total blissful yielding. You only have to let go of the oars, stop trying to control the mind, and allow yourself to be carried by a universe that loves you, protects you, and knows exactly how to quiet your heart. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully insulated within the sanctuary of your bed, imagine that soft, slow river of nocturnal shadow flowing gently through your room. Feel its cool, soothing currents wrapping around your forehead, relaxing the muscles around your eyes, loosening your shoulders and carrying away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly still, perfectly soft, and beautifully untethered. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else you need to be. You are held. You are protected. Let go completely. Sink down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting deeper and completely weightless into the vast, infinite, and beautifully comforting ocean of this midnight hour. Feel every single atom of your body letting go of its tension, allowing your shoulders to become completely soft, your jaw to untighten, and your forehead to smooth out until you feel as if you're gently floating in a space of pure, dark velvet. With every slow, measured, and effortless breath that moves through your lungs, imagine your mind clearing away its very last thoughts, letting them dissolve like soft mist disappearing into a quiet forest. The active, demanding world of the daytime is now completely gone, and there is absolutely nothing left for you to do, nothing you need to plan, and nowhere else you need to be. Let us now travel together in our minds to an ancient botanical belief held by the early healers and mystics of the old world, the concept of the unseen garden of midnight blossoms. Centuries ago, long before modern science began to analyze the chemical properties of plants and their effects on human sleep, our ancestors looked at the natural world with a sense of deep, spiritual interconnectedness. They observed that while many flowers closed their petals when the sun went down, the night was not barren. Instead, they believed in the existence of an invisible spiritual garden that only came into full bloom when the world reached a state of absolute breathless silence. To the people of old, these midnight blossoms did not possess physical colors that could be seen by the eyes, but they possessed a powerful celestial fragrance that could heal a weary soul. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that as the midnight hour settled over the earth, these mystical flowers would open their soft petals in the dark spaces of nature, in the quiet corners of bedrooms and around the pillows of those who were ready to rest. These blossoms were thought to release an invisible, slow-moving wave of pure, calming energy into the night air, a spiritual nectar designed specifically to quiet the central nervous system and soothe the overactive human brain. This was viewed as nature's ultimate antidote to the mental exhaustion of daylight life. Imagine a tired traveller centuries ago lying down on a simple mat inside a quiet cottage, breathing in the cool, crisp night air. To them, the silence of the room was not empty, it was filled with the gentle, unseen presence of this midnight garden. They believed that as they breathed in the quietness, they were actively inhaling the soothing essence of these mystical flowers. They thought that this invisible fragrance had the unique power to gently untangle the tight knots of memory, the frustrations of daily work, the small anxieties about survival, and the endless inner dialogues that keep the mind awake. The essence of the garden acted as a gentle cosmic sedative, smoothing down the rough edges of the thoughts, until the mind became as still and clear as a moonlit pool. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to force yourself to find inner peace or struggle against your own restlessness. The universe had already planted this beautiful garden of stillness around you, waiting for you to simply lie back, close your eyes, and let its invisible fragrance wash over your senses. The slow, rhythmic pulse of the night air was constantly carrying this healing energy into your room, helping your heartbeat to slow down, your muscles to relax, and your entire being to synchronize with the deep, peaceful breathing of the earth. All that was required of your spirit was to surrender, to trust the protection of the dark, and to allow yourself to be carried away. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a waste of time or a loss of awareness, but a sacred return to a place of total care and renewal. You did not have to feel vulnerable or alone in the dark hours, because the entire natural world was actively working to envelop you in a blanket of absolute safety, creating a soft, beautifully insulated sanctuary where your body could repair itself and your mind could find total liberation from the waking world. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible fragrance of the midnight garden drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your chest, and smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully empty. There is absolutely nothing you need to fix tonight, and nothing you need to carry into tomorrow. You are held by the night, let go completely, slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely and seamlessly into the vast, infinite, and beautifully comforting expanse of this quiet midnight hour. Feel every single layer of your body letting go of its weight, allowing your head to feel profoundly heavy against the pillow, your shoulders to drop completely, and your entire spine to be fully and safely supported by the softness beneath you. With every slow, measured, and perfectly unhurried breath that leaves your body, imagine a wave of absolute pure tranquility flowing through your mind, sweeping away the very last crumbs of thought, leaving behind a beautiful dark space of complete stillness. The busy, noisy, and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its chapters, and there is absolutely nothing left for you to solve, nothing you need to plan, and nowhere else in the universe you need to be. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to a deeply comforting maternal belief held by the early nomads and stargazers of the ancient plains, the concept of the velvet canopy of the cosmic mother. Centuries ago, long before modern astronomical telescopes began to classify the stars as distant burning balls of gas and the night as an empty expanse of freezing near vacuum, our ancestors held a deeply personal and emotional relationship with the sky. They did not view the darkness as a cold, indifferent void to be feared. Instead, they believed that when the sun went down, the universe transformed into a colossal protective mother figure. To the people of old, the deep indigo and black sky was the literal soft velvet cloak of this cosmic mother, which she would gently unroll across the continents each evening to create a sacred sanctuary of rest for her tired children. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that this velvet canopy possessed an active, living quality of deep affection and ultimate security. As the shadows lengthened and the world grew still, it was thought that this cosmic presence would bend down toward the earth, whispering a silent, wordless lullaby into the wind. The old storytellers believed that the cosmic mother would gently place her soft, cooling hands of darkness upon the forehead of every living being, every bird in its nest, every creature in the forest, and every human being resting in their bed, softly smoothing away the invisible lines of worry, frustration, and exhaustion that had accumulated through hours of labor under the sun. Imagine a weary traveller centuries ago, lying out in the open plains beneath a brilliant blanket of stars, looking up into the immense depth of the night. They did not feel small, lonely, or exposed. They felt a profound, overwhelming sense of safety, believing that the darkness itself was an act of supreme protection. They thought that the soft texture of the night air was the cosmic fabric brushing against their skin, absorbing the mental static of the day's struggles, and untangling the complicated webs of thoughts that keep the human mind spinning in circles. The night was seen as a divine pause, a protective boundary line where the problems of the world were strictly forbidden from entering. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to find the strength to quiet your own mind or battle against your own restlessness when it was time to sleep. The universe had already taken on the responsibility of guarding your peace. The cosmic mother was actively holding the world still on your behalf, tucking you into a beautiful, secure cradle of shadow and waiting for you to simply close your eyes and let go of your grip on the waking world. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe deeply, to trust in the absolute stability of the night, and to allow your consciousness to dissolve into the welcoming comfort of the dark. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not an act of losing control, but a beautiful return to a state of total, unconditional care. You did not have to feel vulnerable in the silence of the night, because the most ancient and powerful force in existence was actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated space where your muscles could fully restore, your heart could slow down, and your mind could find total liberation from the burdens of time. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cocooned within the absolute comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, protective velvet cloak of the cosmic mother descending gently over your room. Feel its weightless, cooling presence brushing softly over your eyelids, relaxing your chest, loosening your legs, and smoothing away the very last, fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully free. There is absolutely nothing you need to achieve tonight, and nothing you need to carry into tomorrow. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely, slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even deeper now, drifting completely and boundlessly into the soft velvet folds of this profound midnight hour, feeling your entire body becoming immensely heavy, peaceful, and fully anchored in a state of absolute undisputed comfort. With every slow, measured, and perfectly quiet breath that moves gently through your chest, imagine a wave of pure, soothing stillness flowing into your mind, untangling the very last knots of your thoughts and letting them dissolve like soft mist, clearing away from a quiet valley. The active, bright, and demanding world of the daytime has completely faded into a distant, insignificant memory that no longer has any power over your senses. You are here in this perfect sanctuary of the night, entirely insulated from the outside world, completely safe and beautifully protected. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to an ancient astrological belief held by the early desert nomads and watchers of the sky, the concept of the liquid amber of the constellations. Centuries ago, long before modern science measured the immense distances between solar systems or defined starlight as travelling photons through a vacuum, our ancestors looked up at the night sky with an overwhelming sense of mystical connection. They did not view the stars as cold, distant spheres of burning gas. Instead, they believed that the brilliant constellations passing slowly across the deep indigo dome of the night were cosmic vessels holding a sacred, invisible spiritual medicine. To the people of old, the gentle, amber-coloured light blinking from the ancient stars was actually a slow, continuous stream of pure celestial nectar, a liquid tranquility that poured down from the heavens to bathe the earth each night. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that this liquid amber possessed an extraordinary healing quality that could quiet the most restless human spirits. As the midnight hour reached its peak, this invisible stellar river was thought to drift softly through the atmosphere, effortlessly passing through roofs, windows, and heavy walls, and settling gently over the bedrooms of those who were ready to sleep. This cosmic nectar was viewed as nature's ultimate remedy for an overworked brain and a stressed nervous system, acting as a divine blanket that shielded the soul from the weight of the waking world. Imagine a tired traveller centuries ago lying down upon a simple mat under the vast desert sky, watching the golden light of the stars sparkle against the darkness. They did not feel small, lonely, or unprotected. They felt an incredible, deep sense of safety, believing that the entire universe was actively pouring its peace directly down into their spirit. They thought that as they breathed in the cool night air, they were absorbing the liquid amber of the stars, which had the unique power to gently dissolve the heavy thoughts of the day, the worries about tomorrow, the fatigue of the muscles, and the chaotic anxieties of daily life. The starlight acted as a quiet cosmic sponge, absorbing the static energy of the daytime and leaving the mind as still and clear as a deep, unmoving pool of water. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to force yourself to find inner peace or struggle to quiet your own racing thoughts through willpower alone. The galaxy itself was already taking care of that work for you. The constellations were constantly spinning their soft amber network of safety around your room, waiting for you to simply surrender your physical weight to your bed, let go of your defense mechanisms, and allow this celestial lullaby to wrap around your senses. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe softly, to trust in the absolute stability of the universe, and to let yourself slide under the warm, protective currents of the dark night. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a loss of control or a time of emptiness, but a beautiful return to a state of total, unconditional care. You did not have to feel exposed or vulnerable in the silence of the night, because the oldest and most beautiful forces in existence were actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated space where your heart could slow down, your muscles could restore, and your mind could find total liberation from the burdens of time. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible stream of liquid amber from the stars drifting gently down into your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully free. There is absolutely nothing you need to achieve tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything for you. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely, softly, and without a single resistance into the boundless, velvet depth of this peaceful midnight hour. Feel your entire body becoming beautifully heavy, soft, and completely immersed in a state of absolute, undisturbed comfort. With every slow, deep, and perfectly unhurried breath that flows naturally through your chest, imagine all the tightly wound thoughts in your mind completely untangling themselves, drifting away like soft wisps of smoke into the quiet night air. The bright, loud, and demanding world of the daylight has now officially closed its doors, leaving you behind in this absolute sanctuary of stillness where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is perfectly well. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to the ancient green valleys of the old world to explore a deeply grounding, peaceful belief held by the forest mystics, the concept of the soundless melody of the ancient moss. Centuries ago, long before modern science developed tools to measure the microscopic electrical pulses of plant life, our ancestors looked at the hidden, damp corners of the deep forests with an overwhelming sense of reverence. They observed how the ancient green moss grew completely undisturbed over the rough surfaces of giant stone boulders and old fallen trees, forming a thick emerald carpet that seemed to absorb all the sounds of the world. To the people of that time, this moss was not just a simple plant, it was viewed as the ultimate keeper of silence, a natural blanket created by the earth to soften the rough edges of existence. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that when the midnight hour settled over the land and human movement ceased, the ancient moss would begin to play a soundless melody. This was not a music that could be heard with the physical ears, nor could it be captured by the instruments of man. It was an incredibly low, gentle, and rhythmic frequency of pure stillness, a physical vibration of peace that expanded softly outward from the deep forests, travelling across the fields, through the thick walls of homes, and directly into the bedrooms of those who were ready to rest. The old healers believed that this green frequency was nature's natural sedative for a tired, overactive mind. Imagine a weary traveller centuries ago, lying down inside a quiet wooden cabin near the edge of a great woods, listening to the complete absence of human sound. To them, the silence was not empty or cold, it was filled with the soft, invisible embrace of this botanical melody. They believed that, as they rested their head, the soundless song of the moss would gently weave its way into their subconscious. They thought that this grounding frequency had the unique power to absorb the mental static of the day, the friction of arguments, the worries of tomorrow, and the endless inner dialogues that keep the mind awake. The melody of the moss acted as a giant, soft sponge, smoothing down the mountains of anxiety into gentle, harmless hills of peace. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to strain your mind to find stillness or force yourself to feel relaxed through sheer willpower. The earth itself had already provided this endless reservoir of quietness beneath the trees, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms into the air, waiting for you to simply let go of your vigilance. The slow, steady vibration of the moss was actively working to synchronize your heartbeat, your breathing, and your nerve pathways with the grand, unhurried rhythm of the sleeping planet. All that was required of your spirit was to stop holding on to your thoughts, to surrender your weight to your bed, and to trust that the night would keep you perfectly safe. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of the natural world. It reminded our ancestors that they were never alone or unprotected in the dark hours. The very ground they lived on was actively comforting them, holding a deep and eternal supply of quietness awake in its heart, just so that its children could close their eyes without a single fear. You could completely let down your guard, release your muscles and sink into a state of total vulnerability, knowing that the ancient presence of the earth was keeping the world still while you slept. As you lie here now completely warm, safe and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft green melody of the ancient moss drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders and smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft and beautifully empty. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, drifting deeper, softer, and more boundlessly into the thick, protective velvet of this sacred midnight hour. Feel every single cell of your body entirely giving up its weight, allowing your head to melt profoundly into the pillow, your shoulders to untighten completely, and your legs to become wonderfully heavy and relaxed against the bed. With every slow, deep and effortless breath that moves through your chest, imagine a cool, soothing wave of absolute peace flowing into your mind, gently clearing away the very last lingering remnants of your daily thoughts. The active, noisy and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its doors, leaving you behind in this perfect sanctuary of total stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is completely well. Let us now travel together in our minds to a beautiful mythic belief held by the ancient dreamers of the Far East, the concept of the feather of the midnight phoenix. Centuries ago, long before modern psychology began to decode the science of sleep and the neurological patterns of our dreams, our ancestors chose to look at the night through the lens of poetry and magic. They did not view the darkness as a cold, empty absence of light. Instead, they believed that the midnight sky was the domain of a magnificent, invisible creature known as the midnight phoenix, a legendary bird whose wings were woven from pure starlight, deep indigo shadow, and the absolute silence of the cosmos. To the people of old, this creature was the sacred guardian of the human subconscious, flying softly across the world each night to bring comfort to weary souls. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that as the world reached its quietest hour, this celestial bird would spread its massive, weightless wings completely across the horizon, forming a soft canopy of safety over the sleeping earth. As it soared silently through the stars, it was thought to shed invisible, microscopic feathers of light and shadow that would drift gently down through the cool night air. These mystical feathers were believed to pass effortlessly through roofs and windows, settling as softly as a sigh upon the closed eyelids of those who were ready to rest, acting as a natural spiritual shield against the weight of the waking world. Imagine a tired worker or a weary scholar centuries ago, resting inside a quiet home, looking into the darkness of their room. They did not feel alone or unprotected. They believed that the soft, soothing energy settling over their body was the literal touch of the midnight phoenix's feather. They thought that this invisible feather possessed a unique, magical quality that could instantly dissolve the hard memories of the day, the friction of daily responsibilities, the worries about tomorrow, and the heavy mental static that keeps the mind spinning in circles. The touch of the feather acted as a gentle cosmic eraser, smoothing down the thoughts until the mind became as light, as still, and as beautifully empty as the midnight sky itself. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to struggle to find inner peace or force your mind to stop racing through sheer willpower. The universe had already sent its great guardian to take care of that work for you. The midnight phoenix was actively holding the night still on your behalf, wrapping you in a custom cocoon of absolute safety and waiting for you to simply let go of your grip on the day. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe softly, to trust in the absolute protection of the dark, and to allow your consciousness to float away on the weightless currents of the night. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a time of vulnerability or emptiness, but a beautiful return to a state of total, unconditional care. You did not have to feel exposed in the silence of the night, because the most gentle and powerful forces in existence were actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated space where your heart could slow down, your muscles could restore, and your spirit could find complete liberation from the burdens of time. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible feather of the midnight phoenix drifting gently down to touch your eyelids. Feel its cooling, soothing presence releasing the very last traces of tension from your jaw, your neck, and your chest, making your entire being feel beautifully soft, weightless, and still. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything for you. Let go completely, slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely, softly, and without a single resistance into the boundless velvet depth of this peaceful midnight hour. Feel your entire body becoming beautifully heavy, soft, and completely immersed in a state of absolute undisturbed comfort. With every slow, deep, and perfectly unhurried breath that flows naturally through your chest, imagine all the tightly wound thoughts in your mind completely untangling themselves, drifting away like soft wisps of smoke into the quiet night air. The bright, loud, and demanding world of the daytime has now officially closed its doors, leaving you behind in this absolute sanctuary of stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is perfectly well. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to the ancient mountains of the old world to explore a deeply grounding, peaceful belief held by the early mystics, the concept of the mirror lake of the cosmic summit. Centuries ago, long before modern science developed tools to measure the vacuum of space or the distance of the stars, our ancestors looked at the highest peaks of the world with an overwhelming sense of reverence. They observed how the summits of the highest mountains stood completely untouched by the chaos of human life below, reaching up into the cold, silent dome of the night sky. To the people of that time, the very top of the cosmos was home to a mystical hidden lake, a vast unmoving body of crystal clear water that remained in a state of permanent eternal stillness, reflecting nothing but the quiet light of the stars. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that when the midnight hour reached its deepest point, this celestial lake would release a soft, invisible tide of tranquility down toward the earth. This was not a physical water that could be touched by hands, but a spiritual frequency of absolute calm, a cosmic vibration of peace that expanded softly downward from the summit, traveling across the clouds, through the heavy roofs of houses, and directly into the minds of those who were ready to rest. The old sages believed that this mountain frequency was nature's natural remedy for a tired, overactive human brain. Imagine a weary traveller centuries ago lying down inside a quiet stone shelter near the base of a great mountain, listening to the complete absence of wind. To them the silence was not empty or cold, it was filled with the soft, invisible embrace of this celestial tide. They believed that, as they rested their head, the stillness of the mountain lake would gently weave its way into their subconscious. They thought that this grounding frequency had the unique power to absorb the mental static of the day, the friction of daily survival, the worries of tomorrow, and the endless inner dialogues that keep the mind awake. The reflection of the lake acted as a giant soft shield, smoothing down the mountains of anxiety into gentle, harmless plains of peace. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to strain your mind to find stillness or force yourself to feel relaxed through sheer willpower alone. The universe itself had already provided this endless reservoir of quietness at the highest point of the sky, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms into the air, waiting for you to simply let go of your vigilance. The slow, steady vibration of the cosmic lake was actively working to synchronize your heartbeat, your breathing, and your nerve pathways with the grand, unhurried rhythm of the sleeping planet. All that was required of your spirit was to stop holding on to the edges of your thoughts, to surrender your weight to your bed, and to trust that the night would keep you perfectly safe. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of the world. It reminded our ancestors that they were never alone or unprotected in the dark hours. The very universe they lived in was actively comforting them, holding a deep and eternal supply of quietness awake in its heart, just so that its children could close their eyes without a single fear. You could completely let down your guard, release your muscles, and sink into a state of total vulnerability, knowing that the ancient presence of the cosmos was keeping the world still while you slept. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft silver reflection of the cosmic lake drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last, fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully empty, just like the smooth surface of that mountain water. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely, slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting completely, weightlessly, and without a single effort into the boundless protective velvet of this sacred midnight hour. Feel every single atom of your physical body letting go of its holding, allowing your head to melt profoundly into the soft embrace of your pillow, your shoulders to drop completely, and your chest to rise and fall in perfect unhurried harmony with the absolute silence of the room. With every slow, measured, and deeply peaceful breath that flows naturally through your lungs, imagine a wave of pure, cooling tranquility washing over your mind, gently carrying away the very last crumbs of thought and leaving behind a beautiful dark space of absolute stillness. The active, loud, and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its doors, and there is absolutely nothing left for you to solve, nothing you need to plan, and nowhere else in the universe you need to be. Let us now travel together in our thoughts down into the deep, mysterious waters of the old world to explore a profoundly grounding belief held by the ancient coastal seafarers, the concept of the silent symphony of the coral reefs. Centuries ago, long before modern oceanography developed specialized sonar equipment to record the acoustic underwater soundscapes of the sea, our ancestors looked at the great oceans with an overwhelming sense of mystical awe. They understood that while the surface of the sea could be wild, stormy, and unpredictable, the deep womb of the ocean remained permanently untouched, existing in a state of eternal, serene quietude. To the people of that time, the ancient coral reefs growing in the deep dark waters were not just passive marine structures, they were viewed as the giant, living resonators of the planet's ultimate peace. It was widely believed in ancient maritime folklore that when the sun finally dipped below the horizon and the entire earth grew dark, these deep-sea coral sanctuaries would begin to emit a silent symphony. This was not a physical sound that could be heard by human ears, nor was it a vibration that could be caught by the nets of fishermen. It was an incredibly slow, oceanic frequency of pure stillness, a deep, rhythmic pulse of safety that travelled softly upward through the heavy layers of salt water expanding across the coastlines, moving gently through the soil, and radiating directly into the homes and beds of those who were ready to rest. The old healers believed that this marine frequency was nature's natural anchor for a fractured, overworked human spirit. Imagine a weary sailor or a tired villager centuries ago, lying down to sleep inside a simple stone cottage near the edge of a quiet bay, listening to the soft repetitive lapping of the waves. To them, the darkness of the night was not empty or cold, it was filled with the soft, invisible embrace of this underwater symphony. They believed that as they rested their body, the slow maternal pulse of the deep coral reefs would gently weave its way into their subconscious mind. They thought that this grounding frequency had the unique power to absorb the mental static of the day, the anxieties of survival, the friction of daily labor, and the endless inner monologues that keep the brain awake. The melody of the deep reef acted as a giant comforting weight, smoothing down the restless waves of the mind until thoughts became as perfectly flat and clear as a mirror-like ocean at dawn. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to strain your mind to find stillness or force your muscles to relax through sheer willpower alone. The planet itself had already provided this endless reservoir of quietness deep beneath the waves, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms into the atmosphere, waiting for you to simply let go of your vigilance and float upon its currents. The slow, steady vibration of the ocean was actively working to synchronize your heartbeat, your breathing, and your nerve pathways with the grand, unhurried heartbeat of the earth. All that was required of your spirit was to stop holding on to your daytime stories, to surrender your weight to your bed, and to trust that the night would keep you perfectly protected. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of the world. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a time of vulnerability or emptiness, but a beautiful return to a state of total, unconditional care. You did not have to feel exposed or alone in the silence of the night, because the most ancient and peaceful forces in existence were actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated sanctuary where your heart could slow down, your muscles could restore, and your mind could find total liberation from the burdens of time. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible symphony of the deep coral reefs drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully empty. There is absolutely nothing you need to achieve tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, drifting deeper, softer, and more boundlessly into the thick protective velvet of this sacred midnight hour. Feel every single cell of your body entirely giving up its weight, allowing your head to melt profoundly into the pillow, your shoulders to untighten completely, and your legs to become wonderfully heavy and relaxed against the bed. With every slow, deep, and effortless breath that moves through your chest, imagine a cool, soothing wave of absolute peace flowing into your mind, gently clearing away the very last, lingering remnants of your daily thoughts. The active, noisy, and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its doors, leaving you behind in this perfect sanctuary of total stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is completely well. Let us now travel together in our minds down into the deep, mysterious waters of the old world to explore a profoundly grounding belief held by the ancient coastal seafarers, the concept of the silent symphony of the coral reefs. Centuries ago, long before modern oceanography developed specialized sonar equipment to record the acoustic underwater soundscapes of the sea, our ancestors looked at the great oceans with an overwhelming sense of mystical awe. They understood that while the surface of the sea could be wild, stormy, and unpredictable, the deep womb of the ocean remained permanently untouched, existing in a state of eternal, serene quietude. To the people of that time, the ancient coral reefs growing in the deep, dark waters were not just passive marine structures. They were viewed as the giant, living resonators of the planet's ultimate peace. It was widely believed in ancient maritime folklore that when the sun finally dipped below the horizon and the entire earth grew dark, these deep-sea coral sanctuaries would begin to emit a silent symphony. This was not a physical sound that could be heard by human eyes, nor was it a vibration that could be caught by the nets of fishermen. It was an incredibly slow oceanic frequency of pure stillness, a deep rhythmic pulse of safety that travelled softly upward through the heavy layers of salt water, expanding across the coastlines, moving gently through the soil, and radiating directly into the homes and beds of those who were ready to rest. The old healers believed that this marine frequency was nature's natural anchor for a fractured, overworked human spirit. Imagine a weary sailor or a tired villager centuries ago lying down to sleep inside a simple stone cottage near the edge of a quiet bay, listening to the soft, repetitive lapping of the waves. To them, the darkness of the night was not empty or cold. It was filled with the soft, invisible embrace of this underwater symphony. They believed that as they rested their body, the slow maternal pulse of the deep coral reefs would gently weave its way into their subconscious mind. They thought that this grounding frequency had the unique power to absorb the mental static of the day, the anxieties of survival, the friction of daily labour, and the endless inner monologues that keep the brain awake. The melody of the deep reef acted as a giant comforting weight, smoothing down the restless waves of the mind until thoughts became as perfectly flat and clear as a mirror-like ocean at dawn. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to strain your mind to find stillness or force your muscles to relax through sheer willpower alone. The planet itself had already provided this endless reservoir of quietness, deep beneath the waves, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms into the atmosphere, waiting for you to simply let go of your vigilance and float upon its currents. The slow, steady vibration of the ocean was actively working to synchronize your heartbeat, your breathing, and your nerve pathways with the grand, unhurried heartbeat of the earth. All that was required of your spirit was to stop holding on to your daytime stories, to surrender your weight to your bed, and to trust that the night would keep you perfectly protected. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of the world. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a time of vulnerability or emptiness, but a beautiful return to a state of total unconditional care. You did not have to feel exposed or alone in the silence of the night, because the most ancient and peaceful forces in existence were actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated sanctuary where your heart could slow down, your muscles could restore, and your mind could find total liberation from the burdens of time. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible symphony of the deep coral reefs drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last, fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully empty. There is absolutely nothing you need to achieve tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely, slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting deeper, softer, and more boundlessly into the thick, protective velvet of this sacred midnight hour. Feel every single cell of your body entirely giving up its weight, allowing your head to melt profoundly into the pillow, your shoulders to untighten completely, and your legs to become wonderfully heavy and relaxed against the bed. With every slow, deep, and effortless breath that moves through your chest, imagine a cool, soothing wave of absolute peace flowing into your mind, gently clearing away the very last, lingering remnants of your daily thoughts. The active, noisy, and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its doors, leaving you behind in this perfect sanctuary of total stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is completely well. Let us now travel together in our minds to the ancient, untouched landscapes of the old world to explore a deeply comforting mystical belief held by the early mountain folk, the concept of the silver mist of the forgotten valleys. Centuries ago, long before modern life filled the nights with artificial lights and global communication networks, our ancestors possessed a profound spiritual connection with the changing geography of the dark. They observed how, as the deep midnight settled, a thick, luminous silver mist would slowly rise from the hidden floor of ancient, uninhabited valleys. To the people of that time, this mist was not merely a collection of condensed water droplets. It was viewed as a physical manifestation of cosmic grace, a sacred blanket of forgetfulness sent by the earth to wash clean the human spirit. It was widely believed in ancient mountain folklore that this silver mist carried a unique, transcendent energy capable of untethering the soul from its earthly burdens. As the world reached its quietest hour, this invisible glowing mist was thought to expand outward from the hidden canyons, drifting softly over hills and plains, quietly entering bedrooms through the small spaces in windows and doors. The old sages taught that this mist was nature's holy eraser, designed specifically to dissolve the rigid definitions, the names, the titles, and the overwhelming responsibilities that humans had to carry during their waking hours. Imagine a tired traveller or an exhausted farmer centuries ago, resting inside a quiet wooden shelter, watching the soft darkness fill the room. They did not feel isolated or stressed by the silence. They believed that the cool, soothing air brushing against their skin was the gentle touch of the valley's silver mist. They thought that as this energy wrapped around their body, it had the power to instantly make them forget the friction of the daytime, the debts to be paid, the work to be finished, and the endless anxieties of tomorrow. In the embrace of the mist, they were no longer workers, providers, or managers. They were simply living beings, completely stripped of their burdens, resting safely in the lap of a caring universe. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to actively work to empty your mind or force your racing thoughts to stop spinning through sheer willpower alone. The planet itself was already generating an endless supply of quietness and liberation in its quiet spaces, sending it directly to your bedside to do the work for you. The silver mist of the valley was actively weaving its soft, protective perimeter around your room, waiting for you to simply surrender your physical weight to the mattress, let go of your defense mechanisms, and allow your consciousness to float away on its currents. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe deeply, to trust in the absolute safety of the night, and to let your thoughts dissolve into the beautiful, empty dark. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not a loss of time, but a necessary, beautiful return to a state of total, primordial innocence. You did not have to carry the weight of who you are into the dark hours, because the earth was offering you a sacred pause, a complete release from the story of your life, allowing your muscles to fully restore, your heart to slow down, and your spirit to refresh itself in absolute peace. As you lie here now completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible silver mist of the forgotten valleys drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence, brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last, fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft and beautifully empty, free from all names and duties. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to solve, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything for you. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely, softly, and without a single resistance into the boundless velvet depth of this peaceful midnight hour. Feel your entire body becoming beautifully heavy, soft, and completely immersed in a state of absolute undisturbed comfort. With every slow, deep, and perfectly unhurried breath that flows naturally through your chest, imagine all the tightly wound thoughts in your mind completely untangling themselves, drifting away like soft wisps of smoke into the quiet night air. The bright, loud, and demanding world of the daytime has now officially closed its doors, leaving you behind in this absolute sanctuary of stillness where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is perfectly well. Let us now travel together in our minds to the vast open skies of the old world to explore a deeply comforting mystical belief held by the early desert nomads, the concept of the obsidian ribbon of the nocturnal clouds. Centuries ago, long before modern meteorology classified clouds merely as collections of liquid water droplets or ice crystals suspended in the atmosphere, our ancestors looked up at the night sky with an overwhelming sense of cosmic connection. They observed how thin, dark, and elegant bands of clouds would move slowly across the star-filled dome of the night, shifting shape so quietly that they seemed to be part of a grand, invisible dance. To the people of that time, these clouds were not random weather patterns. They were viewed as the obsidian ribbons of the universe, sacred protective drapes of fabric woven from the very substance of peace itself, sent to shadow the earth and care for the human spirit. It was widely believed in ancient desert folklore that these nocturnal ribbons possessed an extraordinary magnetic quality capable of pulling away the mental friction of the living world. As the midnight hour reached its peak, these dark, weightless bands of cloud were thought to drift softly above the villages and tents, acting like a giant spiritual filter that covered the land. The old mystics taught that as these ribbons passed silently over a home, they would gently attract and absorb all the lingering anxieties, the heavy thoughts, and the static electricity of daily human stress that had drifted up from the waking hours, safely dissolving them into the endless expanse of the upper atmosphere. Imagine a tired traveller centuries ago, lying down upon a simple wool blanket inside a quiet tent, looking up through an open flap at the slow movement of the night sky. They did not feel exposed, anxious, or lonely beneath the vast dark. They felt an incredible, deep sense of safety, believing that the dark ribbons of cloud drifting above them were actively cleansing the air of their worries. They thought that as they breathed in the cool night breeze, they were being wrapped in a celestial garment that had the unique power to untangle the complicated webs of thoughts that keep the mind spinning in circles. Under the shadow of the ribbon, they were completely unburdened, free to let go of their survival instincts, and allowed to rest in absolute tranquility. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to force your mind to become quiet or battle against your own restlessness through willpower alone. The universe itself had already designed this grand, invisible system of protection to do the heavy lifting for you. The obsidian ribbons of the night sky were constantly weaving their soft, soothing networks of safety above your room, waiting for you to simply surrender your physical weight to your bed, let go of your mental control, and allow this cosmic stillness to wash over your senses. All that was required of your spirit was to breathe softly, to trust in the absolute stability of the night, and to let your consciousness drift away on the weightless currents of the dark sky. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of rest. It reminded our ancestors that sleep was not an empty space or a loss of time, but a beautiful return to a state of total, unconditional care. You did not have to feel vulnerable in the silence of the night, because the most ancient and peaceful forces in nature were actively watching over your breath, creating a soft, perfectly insulated sanctuary where your heart could slow down, your muscles could restore, and your mind could find complete liberation from the burdens of daylight. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible obsidian ribbon of the nocturnal clouds drifting gently above your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft and beautifully empty, free from all stories and tension. There is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself sink down even further now, drifting deeper, softer, and more boundlessly into the thick, protective velvet of this sacred midnight hour. Feel every single cell of your body entirely giving up its weight, allowing your head to melt profoundly into the pillow, your shoulders to untighten completely, and your legs to become wonderfully heavy and relaxed against the bed. With every slow, deep, and effortless breath that moves through your chest, imagine a cool, soothing wave of absolute peace flowing into your mind, gently clearing away the very last lingering remnants of your daily thoughts. The active, noisy, and demanding world of the daytime has now completely closed its doors, leaving you behind in this perfect sanctuary of total stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is completely well. Let us now travel together in our minds deep into the quiet earth to explore a beautifully grounding belief held by the ancient caretakers of the soil, the concept of the slumbering seeds of the Great Mother. Centuries ago, long before modern agricultural science began to categorize seeds based solely on their genetic makeup and physical germination cycles, our ancestors viewed the subterranean world as a vast conscious repository of rest. They believed that when the autumn faded and winter approached, or when the hot sun dipped below the horizon each evening, the earth did not simply become cold and dark. Instead, they thought that embedded deep within the dark soil, cradled by the roots of ancient trees, lay millions of tiny mystical entities known as the slumbering seeds. These were not seeds meant to sprout into physical plants, flowers, or crops. Their sole purpose was to hold and radiate the purest frequency of maternal rest. It was widely believed in ancient agrarian folklore that these slumbering seeds acted as natural stabilizers for the emotional atmosphere of the surface world. As the midnight hour reached its deepest point, these hidden seeds were thought to gently wake up in the dark, releasing an invisible, slow-moving wave of pure, grounding energy that expanded upward through the layers of clay, stone, and foundations. The old mystics taught that this energy was like a thick, comforting syrup of absolute safety, rising up to meet the beds of tired humans, wrapping their nervous systems in a field of dense, unshakable security that no nightmare or waking anxiety could penetrate. Imagine an ancient farmer centuries ago, lying down upon a simple straw bed inside a small clay cottage, feeling the immense silent weight of the countryside. They did not feel vulnerable to the dark or stressed by the isolation of the night. They believed that the deep stability they felt beneath their body was the active protection of these slumbering seeds. They thought that as they rested their head close to the ground, this subterranean pulse had the unique power to gently absorb the nervous tension of the day, the fatigue of the muscles, the worries about the weather, and the endless mental lists of what must be done tomorrow. The energy of the seeds acted as a silent anchor, pulling the floating, restless thoughts down into the quiet soil where they could safely dissolve into harmless dust. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to force your own mind to stop thinking or strain your body to relax through willpower alone. The very planet you lived on was already generating a massive, endless ocean of stillness beneath your feet, constantly pulsing its calming rhythms into your room, waiting for you to simply drop your anchor and rest upon its floor. The slumbering seeds were actively holding the perimeter of your home secure, creating a soft, beautifully insulated space where your heartbeat could slow down, your muscles could completely melt, and your mind could find total liberation from the burdens of time. All that was required of your spirit was to trust the ground, to surrender your full physical weight to the bed, and to let go of your vigilance. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of the world. It reminded our ancestors that they were never alone or unprotected in the dark hours. The earth itself was actively cradling them, holding a deep and eternal supply of quietness awake in its heart, just so that its children could close their eyes in absolute security. You could completely let down your guard, release your muscles, and sink into a state of total vulnerability, knowing that a deep, ancient presence was holding the world still while your body restored itself. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible, grounding pulse of the slumbering seeds rising gently up to surround your room. Feel its immense, unshakable stability dissolving the very last remnants of your daily thoughts, making your mind feel beautifully light, soft, and still. There is absolutely nothing you need to solve tonight, nothing you need to plan, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. You are entirely protected, entirely held, and completely safe within the quiet velvet dark. Let go completely, surrender to the heavy comfort of the night, and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. Let yourself slide down even further now, melting completely, softly, and without a single resistance into the boundless velvet depth of this peaceful midnight hour. Feel your entire body becoming beautifully heavy, soft, and completely immersed in a state of absolute undisturbed comfort. With every slow, deep, and perfectly unhurried breath that flows naturally through your chest, imagine all the tightly wound thoughts in your mind completely untangling themselves, drifting away like soft wisps of smoke into the quiet night air. The bright, loud, and demanding world of the daytime has now officially closed its doors, leaving you behind in this absolute sanctuary of stillness, where nothing is expected of you, nothing is required, and everything is perfectly well. Let us now travel together in our thoughts to the serene, misty valleys of the old world to explore a deeply soothing belief held by the ancient mountain mystics, the concept of the whispering jade of the sacred groves. Centuries ago, long before modern physics calculated the acoustics of wind passing through hollow tubes or measured the resonance of natural materials, our ancestors looked at the vast bamboo and jade-coloured groves with an overwhelming sense of spiritual peace. They observed how these elegant, tall plants stood resilient against the elements, completely hollow on the inside, yet unbroken and perfectly flexible. To the people of that time, these sacred groves were not just simple clusters of vegetation. They were viewed as the cosmic flutes of the earth, natural instruments designed specifically to capture the wild, erratic winds of the daytime and transform them into a silent, healing frequency of absolute peace during the night. It was widely believed in ancient folklore that when the midnight hour settled over the world and the birds stopped singing, these sacred jade groves would begin to release a subtle, soundless whisper into the atmosphere. This was not a physical noise that could be registered by human ears, nor was it a melody that could be transcribed onto paper. It was an incredibly slow, gentle, and rhythmic pulse of complete release, a vibration of pure surrender that drifted softly across the rivers, through the dense forests, and directly into the windows of those who were ready to sleep. The old healers believed that this jade frequency possessed a unique power to naturally cool down an overheated, overactive human brain. Imagine a tired traveller centuries ago lying down inside a simple wooden pavilion at the edge of a misty valley, listening to the absolute stillness of the countryside. To them, the silence was not empty or cold, it was filled with the soft, invisible embrace of this botanical whisper. They believed that as they rested their head, the empty space inside the sacred jade stalks would act like a cosmic mirror for their own mind. They thought that just as the bamboo was hollow and free of internal weight, their own consciousness could become completely empty of the daytime friction, the anxieties of survival, the fatigue of the muscles, and the endless inner dialogues that keep the mind awake. The whisper of the groves acted as a gentle wind, blowing away the dust of daily worries until the mind became as spacious, clear, and peaceful as the hollow centre of the jade tree. According to this ancient wisdom, you never had to force your mind to become quiet or fight against your own restlessness through sheer willpower alone. The universe itself had already provided this endless reservoir of stillness within the natural world, constantly breathing its calming rhythms into the air, waiting for you to simply lean back and match its pace. The slow, steady vibration of the sacred groves was actively working to synchronize your heartbeat, your breathing and your nerve pathways with the grand, unhurried breathing of the planet. All that was required of your spirit was to let go of your grip on your thoughts, to surrender your physical weight to your bed, and to trust that the night would keep you perfectly protected. There was a profound, timeless beauty in this understanding of nature. It reminded our ancestors that they were never isolated or unprotected in the dark hours. The very plants and soil surrounding their homes were actively comforting them, holding a deep and eternal supply of quietness awake in their hearts, just so that their human family could close their eyes in absolute security. You could completely let down your guard, release your muscles, and sink into a state of total vulnerability, knowing that a deep, ancient presence was holding the world still while your body restored itself. As you lie here now, completely warm, safe, and beautifully cradled within the perfect comfort of your bed, imagine that soft, invisible whisper of the sacred jade groves drifting gently through your room. Feel its cooling, soothing presence brushing over your eyelids, relaxing your jaw, loosening your shoulders, and smoothing away the very last, fading remnants of your daily worries. Your mind is becoming perfectly quiet, perfectly soft, and beautifully empty. Just like the serene hollow spaces inside the bamboo, there is absolutely nothing you need to accomplish tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in the universe you need to go. The night has taken care of everything. Let go completely. Slide down into the heavy comfort of the velvet dark and drift effortlessly away into a deep, beautiful, and eternal sleep. And now, my dear friend, we have finally reached the ultimate destination of our long, beautiful journey through the ancient valleys of silence and the timeless sanctuaries of the night. You have travelled far, you have listened patiently, and you have gently allowed every single layer of your waking world to peel away, one by one, like soft petals falling into a quiet stream. Every story you carried today has been told, every responsibility you held has been laid down, and every boundary line of the daylight has completely dissolved into the infinite soft expanse of this sacred midnight hour. Look around your inner space now and realize how beautifully empty, how profoundly light, and how incredibly still everything has become. You are no longer navigating the world, you are simply being. You are a single peaceful breath, vibrating in perfect harmony with the grand silent pulse of the sleeping cosmos. Let your physical body sink down even further now, 5 times deeper, 10 times heavier, melting completely and without a single trace of resistance into the warm, comforting embrace of your bed. Feel the deep, stable gravity of the earth pulling you gently downward into a state of absolute, undisputed safety. Your head feels immensely heavy against the pillow, as if all the thoughts that once made it spin have turned into soft, dark velvet. Your shoulders have dropped completely, releasing the very last remnants of the day's posture. Your jaw is loose, your eyes are perfectly heavy, and your forehead is as smooth and clear as a mirror-like mountain pool at midnight. With every slow, measured, and completely unhurried breath that flows in and out of your chest, you are drifting closer and closer to the soft threshold of a deep, dreamless, and profoundly restorative sleep. In this final beautiful pause of the dark, let us summon the memory of all the ancient protective forces that have watched over our journey tonight. Feel the invisible warmth of the ancestral hearth glowing softly at the center of your heart, keeping you entirely safe from the coldness of the outside world. Feel the slow, sweet river of nocturnal shadow flowing gently beneath your consciousness, carrying your soul further and further away from the banks of the waking world. Breathe in the soundless melody of the ancient moss and the invisible fragrance of the midnight garden, allowing nature's ultimate sedatives to smooth down the very last ripples of your brainwaves. You are cocooned within the velvet canopy of the cosmic mother. You are bathed in the liquid amber of the stars. You are touched by the weightless feather of the midnight phoenix, and you are anchored by the unshakable stability of the earth's slumbering seeds. All of existence has conspired at this very moment to create a perfect, impenetrable fortress of peace around your bed. You no longer need to listen to my voice. You no longer need to follow any words, and you certainly do not need to try to understand anything at all. The numbers have lost their meaning, the time has faded away, and the world of names and duties has completely forgotten you, just as you have beautifully forgotten it. There is absolutely nothing left for you to solve tonight, nothing you need to fix, and nowhere else in this entire universe you need to be. You have survived the day, you have honored your journey, and you have returned to the ancient source of all life, the pure, pristine quietness of the dark. The universe loves you, the night protects you, and the stillness is holding you tight. Let go now. Let go of the very last thread of control. Let go of the awareness of your own breath. Let your spirit untether itself completely from the physical world and float like a weightless cloud into the deep, dark ocean of infinite rest. Slip away quietly, slide down effortlessly, and surrender your whole being to the heavy, beautiful, and blissful comfort of the velvet night. Deep, deep sleep is waiting for you. Rest now. Be still now. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep, and drift away into the eternal, beautiful dark. Sleepy History with Benedict is created for relaxation, entertainment, and sleep purposes. The stories shared on this channel are inspired by historical events, daily life, and real periods in history, but they may be simplified, adapted, or narrated in a calming way to enhance the listening experience. This content is not intended to be a precise academic or educational source. While we aim to stay generally accurate, some details may be altered for storytelling flow and relaxation. Please do not rely on this channel as a primary source for historical research or study. By listening, you acknowledge that this content is designed to help you unwind, relax, and fall asleep. Thank you for your understanding and support.